I'm just going to stay quiet for a little bit so somebody says, Boomer. Just kidding. Hi, guys. Look, I amused myself. That was for me. All right. What has Lauren Chen done this time? She's come out of hiding. And if you watched this morning's show, you already know this. You know that we covered this kind of, but in fairness, I did not give her. Wait, why is that? Oh, because I forgot to share. Shh. Hey, I don't want to hear any boomer shit. All right. There we go. I didn't go over her full statement. And I wanted to do that because, well, I had a couple of comments on Twitter that annoyed me. And you guys know how I am when I'm annoyed and like, fuck it, I got to talk about this shit. Let's start with full disclosure, okay? Something that is going to be a theme on this evening's show. Full disclosure. I know Lauren Chen through the internet. We've never met in person. I would say that we've been friendly and even friends at times. She's also gotten very annoyed with me before. So years and years and years ago, Lauren Chen is roaming millennial on the internet. And she has a small conservative YouTube channel where she talks about anti-woke stuff or anti-SJW stuff, as we said at the time. Thank you, Cryptic, who says, okay, boomer. Now I'm going to have to go watch that video. Every time I hear, okay, boomer, I have to go watch that chick do her weird dance. I don't know what it is. It's not that I find her all that attractive or anything. There's something mesmerizing about that video. Anyhow, so Lauren Chen has Roaming Millennial. And it's a small channel. If I remember correctly, she's like 10,000 or so people-ish, which at the time is major. Today, 10,000 people like, 10,000, that's it? What are you, a loser? But an amazing thing happened to her. Lacey Green hit her with a copyright strike. And it was for the use of Lacey's picture in a thumbnail in a video where she talked about Lacey Green. And Lacey was like, you can't use my likeness. And while people often blow up due to copyright bullshit, because it was bullshit. Lauren was absolutely in the right here. But fortune favored her this day because Phil DeFranco's unrequited love for Lacey Green led him to cover this story. And that blew her up real big. And I was very happy for her. I did not know her at the time, but I had been following her channel. And I was happy for her. Like, hey, whatever you got to do, right? I mean, sometimes luck smiles on you in the weirdest of fucking ways. Phil needed to get his anger at whatever happened between him and Lacey out, and he used this as his reason for doing it. And it was awesome for her. And because of that, she blows up, and she ends up like going to a conference, and she met SDA at one. They went to a conference together, who I used to stream with, for those of you who don't know who SDA is. And eventually Lauren comes on the show. Was it twice, I think? I want to say she ended up on the stream twice. And it was very pleasant both times. And then she makes a video with Milo Stewart. Milo Stewart is a weird lesbian online who's convinced she's a dude, or at least last I knew about her, and used to make some of the most cringy fucking content. And Lauren and her did a video together about the need for the two sides to talk, for the two sides to have communication. And I watched that video and I got very fucking annoyed because while Lauren was awesome and was actually making arguments that like, hey, we should be talking with each other, Milo's whole thing was still basically, if you don't agree with me, go fuck yourself. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what it was. And I made a video at the time, as I was prone to do, pointing that out. And Lauren seemed to take that very personally because she didn't talk to me again for like over a year. It's not like we were best friends or anything, but let's just say there was a cold shoulder. And that changed with Lauren's, was it a video she did? Or yeah, I think it was a video. I can't remember if it was a tweet or a video, whatever. She pissed off the vegans. She pissed off the vegans by pointing out that they're some of the most insufferable shitbags on the planet. Again, I'm paraphrasing. And Vegan Gains wanted to debate her with Ask Yourself. Two of the most unhinged, annoying freaks on the internet. And I had commented on it, and Lauren asked me if I would like to join her in debating those two. I believe, was Blair White the moderator on that? Dark Resurrect, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we go on there, and in fairness, I did not do well on there. And it's not that I did poorly. It's just that the other three were talking so, and in fairness, mostly Vegan Gains and Ask Yourself, we're talking so much, cutting in it all, just there wasn't a lot of time for it. And it was fine, but it didn't solve anything. But it did bring me and Lauren closer. And it did eventually lead to me and Vegan Gains's amazing stream. That was one of the most fun times I've had on the internet. But after that, me and Lauren, we've spoke many times in DMs, just friendly stuff, not like send me a booby, because I don't do that, but like, how are you? Hope the family's well, that kind of stuff. And we've been on friendly terms, and then the Tenet Media thing blows up. Now, pissing off vegans is always a noble pursuit. Indeed, Keldrick, thank you for the donation. Yeah, pissing off vegans is just, and it's so easy, so easy. But anyway, I reached out to Lauren when this all blew up and just asked her if it was true, and did not get a response, which I didn't expect to, honestly. But I did, and I haven't heard anything from her. So I have not spoke to her in well over a year. Now, I'm only telling you all of this so that people know what my relationship with her is. It's a friendly online relationship, and she occasionally gets pissed with me, which is kind of fair if we're being honest. I can rub people the wrong way. I just believe in truth. Like the video that pissed her off about Milo, go watch it. My critique of Lauren in that is very mild. I think there's maybe like 3 critiques of what she says, and it's very, very mild. But she got upset by it. And I just watched that video and I was so pissed off, where she's like, we need to talk to each other. And then she had on somebody who had no interest in listening to anything anyone else said. Anyway, so I don't blame her for getting annoyed with me at times. And this is going to be one of those times, because I'm just going to be honest with you and tell you I have questions. So when we did this morning's video, we went over her Gibbs donation, what is it, page, I guess, donation, her request, right? Hey, can you guys help me out? And I don't have a problem with that. If anybody wants to go help her, go. It's your money. I don't give a shit. But she's requesting $150,000 to help her with legal bills and expenses to try to get her back in the United States, because she's a Canadian citizen and her work visa came up. She doesn't work for Tenet anymore. So they're like, well, then you can't have a visa. And, is what it is. So we're going to go over her full statement. And I don't know if I'm going to read the whole goddamn thing. I've already read it, but the important parts, oh, whoops, I meant to share that, not refresh it. There we go. I've read the whole thing, but for the purposes of this, a lot of it is unnecessary. I'll make sure that it stays on the screen long enough for you guys to read anything that I'm not going to cover. And get all her money back that the Fed seized. Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the money that the Fed seized. Because it is, look, I don't like forfeit. I think that shit is nonsensical and anti-American. and I hate, under the current laws, there is good reason for that money to still be seized. We'll get to that. I don't like the laws. I don't think it should be seized. I think she should get her money back, but there is still a reason for it, which we'll come to. Anyway, I did not realize that she waited until the day of it was a year ago now yesterday, because we just switched over to the 5th here on the East Coast. Go Chargers. YouTube is hosting the Chargers I forget who's the home team. They're playing in Sao Paulo, but the Chargers are playing the Chiefs tonight, and it's going to be on YouTube. Guess where I'm going to be later tonight? Anyway, so on the 4th, it's the exact year anniversary of when the indictment came down. Now, the indictment was not against Lauren. It wasn't against her husband. It wasn't against her company. It was against the 2 Russians who were funding everything. Tall person, thank you. Hoy, can't stay, but will be. Sorry, can't stay, but we'll say hi. Happy National Cheese Pizza Day. Cheese pizza. I like cheese pizza, but I prefer there to be something else on my pizza. Unless we have a local place that makes really good cheese pizza. You get the extra cheese on it. Oh, so good. Anyhow, let's get back to our story here. This is Lauren's statement, and I'm very curious because in this statement, she tells us that they've known, I think, since April. Is that on it's on one of these things. In April, the U.S. attorney informed our lawyer that the investigation into us and our company had finally been closed. So she's known that this has been closed since April, but she waited until the anniversary date to put this out. I mean, doesn't that just feel propagandistic? Is that a word? Doesn't it feel like propaganda to wait? What is that? 5 months? May, June, July, August, September. Yeah. Wait 5 months to be like, now I've been cleared. Now I can talk. Am I wrong on that? It feels a little manipulative. Anyway, this last year has brought trials I never imagined possible. There's so much I have to say, but for now, I will do my best to answer a question I know many of you have been wondering. What happened? Okay, no, that's not my question. What happened is not my question. I have so many questions about this because there's a lot of shit that does not get answered in here at all. And one of the people, I love you, you know who you are, that annoyed me is like, she did give answers. And I reread this statement. I'm like, no, she didn't. Not a single fucking answer. She just, the entirety of this is basically, nuh-uh. Tell me I'm wrong when I'm done reading it, okay? On September 4th, 2024, 2 months before the general election, my husband, 2-year-old, and I were awoken early in the morning by 30 armed FBI agents. Wasn't that a different number in her Give, Send, Go? Now I have to go look. Hang on a second. We read that one this morning, so I don't remember exactly what it said, but I can find it pretty quickly because I had retweeted it. And that's why I do this. All right, where is the Give, Send, Go link? It's right there. I just feel like that number. Oh, no, it was 30 armed. Okay, I just misremembered that. My bad, Lauren. I didn't say you lied or anything. I just misremembered it. Anyway, so 30 armed FBI agents to break down our door. At the time, I was entering my 4th month of pregnancy. That is, again, just feels propagandist. Manipulative. I'm just going to say manipulative. Because if the other one's a word, I can't fucking say it. The FBI spent the next 4 hours searching our house and interrogating us about our company, Tenet, which licensed mostly right-leaning conservative content. Mostly. Which of them wasn't right-leaning conservative content? I mean, I guess the closest you could get is the modern Lauren Southern, who hasn't completely gone left, but definitely showing her more feminist tendencies these days. But anyway, they took all our electronics and seized our assets. This included our life savings and revenue that had nothing to do with Tenet, such as payments from contracts with the Blaze and Turning Point USA. Well, yeah, because when they, again, I don't agree with civil asset forfeiture or any of that kind of shit. But unless you had a specific Tenet Media account, according to the indictment, she was running this through her Roaming Millennial business, which is incorporated in Canada. I forget the exact name of it. It's like Roaming Millennial Inc. or some silly shit like that. And then they make Tenet here in the United States. But the companies were all intertwined, and so was her personal finances. You should have kept all of that shit separate. Anyway, where are we? That same day, then Attorney General Merrick Garland published a press release, which is essentially labeled Tenet a Russian propaganda operation intent on subverting American elections. Yes and no. Excuse me. We can bring up the actual release from Merrick Garland that day. 2 Russian Times, that's what RT is. Anytime I say RT from now on, just understand that is Russia Today. What's up, Trippy? How you doing, my friend? 2 Russian Today employees indicted for covertly funding and directing U.S. company that published thousands of videos in furtherance of Russian interest. Now, that's true. That part's just true. They did indict these 2 people. They were covertly funding this, and they were trying to further Russian interest. Whether they succeeded at pushing Russian interest is beside the point. It's what they were trying to do. Unless somebody else can tell me why Russian operatives were paying Tim Pool, what's Benny's name? Johnson? And Dave Rubin almost $15 million total for generic YouTube slop. I mean, they just really big fans of Tim Pool. Now we really want Tim to be even richer. They were paying each of those 3 $400,000 a month. You think they were doing that out of the goodness of their little commie hearts? This does mention Tenet Media and that they were working through Tenet Media. They were. And even though they didn't get the influence that they wanted, we know that there's at least one case where they tried to. That doesn't mean it happened, but they were trying to. This is the actual statement. Anyway, so back to Lauren over here. There we go. Intent on subverting. The Department of Justice also unsealed an indictment on 2 Russian individuals that worked in conjunction with our company, but were not in U.S. custody or even in the country. I don't know why the last of that is important. These 2 people were indicted, but they'd already left and gone back to Russia. We indict foreigners all the time. Foreigners who are never going to come back, who we're never going to get our hands on. It happens quite often. My problem is they weren't legally considered what assets. You deleted that, and I don't know what you were saying. At this point, I don't have any problem, except for them not getting their money back. But we'll get to that. The idea that these people needed to be in custody or even in the country, again, this is just so. Typically, when people are indicted, they're not already in custody. Not in this manner when they announce, hey, we've indicted this person. A lot of times, this is where you end up seeing they turn themselves in kind of shit. Roman Polanski, no. I was mid-thought and forgot what I was going to type. You know, Evolved Potato, that shit happens to me more than I want to admit. In mid-sentence, just like, huh. Anyway, try doing that when you're live on a stream and you're in the middle of a sentence and you're like, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyhow, where are we? This lengthy indictment of these individuals was largely focused on Tenet. Yeah, because Tenet was the way that they were trying to influence things. Again, not saying they did influence things, just that they were trying to. Assassin of the Grave, thank you so much. You are still alive? What the heck? Did you get kidnapped by midget go-go dancers? Where is Galactus Jack? I don't know where Jack is. I sent him the link, but when we did the show earlier today, he hadn't slept at all, and hopefully the man's getting some fucking sleep. Anyway, um, this lengthy indictment of these individuals was largely focused on Tenet, though most of the information provided was false, inaccurate, or out of context. Yes, she's gonna tell us where they got shit wrong. No, she's not. I'm hyping that shit up, but no, she's this. They were wrong. You want to give me an example of something that they got wrong or took out of context or was inaccurate and false? There were also claims made concerning issues outside of our knowledge, and we regard those allegations with extreme skepticism. Lauren does something here that bothers me, and we need to talk about the FBI for a minute. We need to talk about the Justice Department. We need to talk about Merrick Garland for a minute. Merrick Garland is a shitbag. The Department of Justice and the FBI have given us plenty of reason to question them over the years. But as I have told you before, just because you question something doesn't mean there's not answers. The indictment lays out very specific allegations with very specific evidence, proof, quotes, largely backed up by what the creators have said. Not one of these creators has come out and go, I didn't make that much money. Now, Tim Pool didn't come out and I wasn't making $400,000 a month from these guys, because he was. It wasn't even open for a full year, and they spent almost $10 million on 6 creators to make content they were already making. Don't worry, guys, nothing to see here. It's out of context. I will say, in the indictment, Lauren gives herself plausible. I don't want to say plausible deniability, because I have some issues with her deniability. She tries to give herself some of that. Tim Pool said last night he makes 15 mil a year. Yeah, I mean, in the indictment, when they're talking about who to hire, I want to show this real fast. This is Grok. I just asked it, hey, who were the commenters based on the numbers in the indictment? Commenter 1 being Dave Rubin. 2 is Tim Pool. 3 is Benny Johnson. 4 is Lauren Southern. And 5 is Taylor Hansen. He's that weird ginger I was talking about. And if I scroll down, you see 6 is Matt Christensen. So commenter number 1, when they approach him, they're like, we'll give you $1 to $2 million. And he tells them, I couldn't do it for less than $5 million. And they settled on $4.8 million with $100,000 signing bonus. $400,000 a month is what they were getting paid. So yeah, these are guys who were well compensated, but you can ask for that kind of money if you're already making that kind of money. The problem with the whole business strategy of Tenet Media is most of the people who are going to watch Tim Pool are just going to go to Tim Pool's channel. They're not going to be like, I'm going to watch Tim Pool on a different channel where he's doing the same thing he does on his main channel. The idea that Tenet Media was going to make back, remember, just the top 3. I don't know if we ever found out what the bottom 3 made, but just the top 3 were each making $400,000. So, the 400,000 a month, and why didn't Lauren ask Jack and Monkey? Because we're not big enough. We're not big enough to be considered for these kind of things. And I don't take that as a slight. I mean, I peaked at like what 27,000, I think, on my YouTube channel, and it's down to 24,000 people. Especially in the media market of today, that is not many people at all. So anyway, where are we? There were also, we read that one. Garland painted Tenet as a covert Russian media mouthpiece and our conservative-leaning talent as unwitting propagandists. Where's that wrong? The Lauren Southern worked for Russia Today. Whether she had an official contract with them, I guess might be up for debate. According to the indictment, I believe they say she did. But she absolutely wrote content for Russia Today. And she met these two people through Russia Today. And these two people are way overpaying for talent with a fake benefactor that even Lauren, according to the indictment, looked up twice and couldn't find anything on the guy. This supposed dude who can piss away $15 million on 3 creators has no footprint anywhere. And she was just like, they really want to talk to him. This is what I was talking about with her plausible deniability. If you read through it, you can be like, well, she was duped. But if she was duped, it was because she was willfully ignorant. When somebody's like, hey, because Lauren's the one who pointed out, hey, we're probably not going to make back $1 to $2 million. And the 5 million, like, no, we're not going to be able to make this back. And they were like, we'd be happy to pay him that amount of money. And she was like, oh, okay. I mean, what? The fuck? That didn't raise a red flag for you? A dude you can't find a single link for on the internet. And by the way, if you look that guy's name up now, it's Grigory some fuck. I don't remember. Edward Gregorian or something like that. If you look him up now, the only place you will find him is people talking about that indictment. He doesn't exist. He was fake. She could not find him. This fucking multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever he was, just really, really, really wanted to give a couple of conservative commentators an extra $5 million a year. And she's like, that makes sense to me. And maybe you can make the argument that she was just that hopeful about what she was being told. She was naive or what. There comes a point where naivety doesn't cover it. Sorry. That is a glaring red flag right there. The implication was that the Russian government was astroturfing support for Donald Trump in the upcoming elections. There was that, and you got to remember, there was a lot more talk about the Ukrainian war at the time, and part of the indictment is about that, about them trying to sway people on the Russian-Ukrainian war. So yes, there was some about election interference, but I mean, it's what the Russians were trying to do. Anyway, where are we? And that his conservative and right-leaning supporters online and in independent media were merely behind him because they were paid to be. This notion was categorically untrue. Fair enough to say that the people who were supporting him weren't doing it just because they were paid. Some of them absolutely are, but because they were paid, yeah, that's fair enough calling that untrue. All right, moving on to page 2 here. Maybe I am going to read this whole fucking thing. To be clear, my own commentary has never been shaped by any outside parties, despite working with several different companies during my time on social media. Furthermore, as a company, Tenet offered total editorial freedom to our creators. We never forced or advised our creators to push certain agendas. Not true according to the indictment. According to the indictment, and maybe this is the part that she's saying she's skeptical about. I believe it was commentator 1, which would be Dave Rubin, was approached about a story that would make the Russians look better, I believe, in the Ukrainian war situation. And he said, sure, I'll look into that, but he never did it. So you can say that they weren't coerced or forced into doing it, and that's fine. But I mean, again, it's not like, one, you're talking about the early stages of it. This is the first year, and they're getting this big fat paycheck, which does help push them up. And if they're already saying what you want them to say, you are influencing that. I don't know that Lauren was trying to push any Russian propaganda, but the two people involved absolutely were. Again, does not mean that it worked. But anyway, where are we? In fact, we often did not see the content our creators published directly to our platform until it went live. We encourage these creators to do what they do best, speak their minds boldly. To suggest that their earnest opinions are tantamount to Russian propaganda is not only dishonest, but a besmearing. Is besmearing a word? Of views commonly shared by a huge swath of Americans. Again, here she is with some propaganda of her own. Calling them unwitting propagandists says that they didn't realize that they were being paid by these people. The indictment lets us know they had no fucking idea, and they were trying to find out. And then the money came in, and they were like, I know Ed. I know Ed. He's a friend of mine. Is this really a monkey in the morning? No, it's called an after party. Did you guys not pay attention? Does nobody read the titles I put so much effort into? I bet if I spelled monkey wrong, you'd all see it. Where are we here? Oh, she's trying to tap into the anger that people rightfully have over, all being lumped as Nazis or whatever nonsense. And other than the one time where they say Russia Today tried to get Dave Rubin, I believe, to do the story, there's nothing in the indictment that suggests that the creators weren't sharing their earnest opinions. Can you look at it and say that's what they were trying to get people convinced of? Sure, especially if you read the stories that came up. Right-wing influencers working for the Russians. Dun, dun, dun. They should have said duped in all of those headlines. We would just read it as ranting money. Yeah. Honestly, this is the first stream I've caught in like a week and a half. I've been all over the place with my timing on this stuff, so I'm not shocked by that. Plus, hopefully you have a life that you're enjoying. Where are we here? In any case, due to the political nature of Garland's press release, look, I don't like Garland, and maybe I need to read the press release again, but it mostly was just talking about how the Russians are trying to influence the election, which they were. They do. We try to influence theirs too. That's the part that bothers me, is that our government acts like we didn't cause the war in Ukraine by getting our dirty little fingers all over the politics of that place. Anyway, where are we? In any case, due to the political nature of Garland's press release, our story quickly made international headlines, and we were falsely labeled spies, propagandists, and even traitors. Fair. Although the propagandist label's true. You might not have wanted to be a propagandist, but you were. Just saying. Okay, I keep seeing people say hi to Jack. Is he here and I'm just missing him? Did I accidentally not send the thing again? Nope, it went through. Okay. So if he's awake, he can come in. Where are we? We wanted to set the record straight, but it immediately became apparent that any attempt to challenge the Biden DOJ resulted in threats of arrest, charges, and potentially prison. And so, out of fear of being separated from our children, aren't you in a different country right now? And under the advice of counsel, we chose to remain silent until we could be sure that speaking out would not result in further judicial or extrajudicial punishment. Okay, let's wait right there. On the next page, you're going to tell us you found this out in April. The Biden DOJ hadn't been in charge for 3 months at that point. And in the 5 months since, they still aren't in charge over there. I don't understand. Okay. Though there were never any criminal charges, much less convictions, due to this widely publicized investigation, all of our professional contacts were promptly dropped. Well, that's people's right to not work with you. It sucks. But I'm be honest with you. If I was a company paying somebody and with your resume, I'd be like, I'm gonna pass. Alan, thank you so much. Who says morning, monkey? Good morning. Hope you're well. Birthday in chat. Whose birthday? Backscan. This one is for you, my friend. And a 1 and a 2. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Backscan. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I can sing that already because where I am, it is the next day. Devil Fruit Zero, thank you. I thought you stopped after parties. Oh, well, have money. No, after parties have always been my fallback if I've already done a monkey in the morning. It might have actually been after party led to monkey in the morning, but then I sometimes still had stuff to talk about, so I brought back after party. It's always just been my go-to when I've already done a main show. And so this one qualified. Backscan. Happy to sing for you, my friend. Where are we? There were never any criminal charges, which, by the way, there were criminal charges. There weren't criminal charges against her or her husband or her company. The criminal charges are against, maybe they count as civil charges, because the indictment is against the 2 Russians for failure to report being, Russian agitators. Anyway, all of our professional contracts were properly dropped. We were deplatformed from YouTube, TikTok. Yeah. This is why I keep stuff on the screen, so I know when I disconnected. Anyway, sorry, guys. We were deplatformed from YouTube, TikTok, Discord, and Google. Yeah, I don't agree with any of that shit. You shouldn't have been deplatformed. It's based on the indictment. Although your personal close ties with Russia Today and the 2 women involved, I don't want to say personal with the 2 women involved, but with Russia Today, because you have worked for them quite a bit. I can understand why some places did it. I don't support it, but I can understand it, especially with all of the increase of different platforms because of the Russia shit, Anyway, we and even some of our family members were debanked by several death threats. Our work-based immigration visa, which was torpedoed by the actions against our company, was not renewed. The Canadian government also seemed to have opened their own investigation to us following the highly publicized American case. And of course, we quickly amassed legal fees well into the 6 figures. Yeah, and that sucks. As for the Canadian case, you could be in some troubles right there now, because I did look into that. Talked on this morning show how I didn't know what worked out with that, because she went before the Canadian Parliament and they asked her questions, and her answer was basically, I can't talk about that because of the U.S. case. Well, now the U.S. case is gone. If they call you back, what are you going to say? Their parliament or whatever it is, they referred it to another group, and it's kind of just dead right there. So the Canadians want to look into it because you intertwine Tenet with your roaming millennial brand, with your Canadian company, and they have a legit right to be looking into whether or not you're funding Russian propaganda. I don't know what to tell you. You made some bad decisions here. You should have asked more questions. If I am the most charitable I can be, you chose to remain ignorant. You were making $8,000 a month off of them. Sure, it's not Benny Johnson money, but she made $8,000 plus a percentage of the deals that were given to all of the creators. So she got a percentage of the contracts, like the $4.8 million that Dave Rubin was making. She got a cut of that, a little tiny slice. I don't know if the indictment told us what that percentage was. But it's fair for the Canadians to be like, was it one of our companies helping fund Russian propaganda? Anyway, where are we? In March of this year, due to high blood pressure caused by chronic stress, I was induced and delivered our daughter, despite the circumstances surrounding the pregnancy. She's a happy and healthy baby and has been a light in our lives during these difficulties. Thanks be to God. This is a paragraph that doesn't belong in here. This doesn't answer a single question. This is, look at what they put me through. And yeah, that sucks. But I'm very curious because that doesn't sound like the daughter was born all that early. I mean, we're what? She said that if she was pregnant 4 months at the time of this, so that's in September. So September, October, November. Okay, October, November, December. It's 3 more months. That puts her at 7. January, February, March. You were 10 months pregnant. That's when you're supposed to have the baby. All right. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my math skills have failed me. But even if you were induced early, even if the baby came 2 months early and the baby's healthy, great. That doesn't answer any of the questions. So far, nothing has answered any of the questions. None of the questions have been answered here. All right, let's move along, and we'll get to what my questions are here soon. In April, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York informed our lawyer that the investigation into us and our company had finally been closed. Okay. 10 months, someone needs a tardy slip. No, actually, if you look into it, 10 months. We always say 9 months, but it's 10 months for a baby. Or at least that's how the medical community says it. Where are we? This news provided us with some relief, but it soon became clear that although we weren't criminals, the SDNY had no interest in restoring us to where we were before the investigation began, though they could easily do so. No, they couldn't. Your reputation is ruined, honey. It really is. And I'm not saying that with any joy in my voice. I still like roaming. Roaming is a sweet, sweet lady. But she made some fucking mistakes here. She absolutely did. There would be no similar press release absolving us of the very public and very serious allegations that have been made against us. Okay, well, let's stop right there. You weren't charged with anything. And the indictment on the 2 Russians is still ongoing. That still exists. Could they have come out and said, we looked into them and couldn't find any illegal activity? Sure. But they didn't indict you in the first place. They didn't charge you with doing it. The stuff that they said in that indictment where you're an unnamed co-conspirator, you haven't proved any of it's not true. And they didn't say it wasn't true. They said they're closing the case. They can't find a charge to use against you. There would be no help clearing our names with the Canadian government. Well, I mean, maybe you should go before them and answer the questions honestly. You could have done that in the first place. They would not restore our visa status. Well, you don't have a job. Your visa is contingent on your work, and you don't have a job. And predictably, despite our lack of charges or conviction, our financial assets, all of our savings would not be returned. Okay, let's finally talk about this. The reason those assets won't be returned, and again, I'm against civil asset forfeiture, but the reason they won't be returned is because while there's not a case against you, there is an ongoing case against the Russians who gave you that money. Now, not all of that money. Some of that money came from Blaze. Because, yeah, you were working for them until, what, I think it was 2 days after this that Blaze fired him. We talked about that this morning, and I thought Blaze had fired her a long time earlier, but no. It was right after this that they're like, yeah, we're done with her. You mixed all your money. And under normal circumstances, nobody would care. But since part of that money is seen, at least by the federal government still, as being attempts to influence America with Russian propaganda, it's still part of an ongoing case. Toasted, thank you. Lauren lost all credibility shilling for Nick. Oh, for Fuentes? Yeah. I never mind. I'll never understand why right-wingers get in bed with that piece of shit. I've never seen it go well for anybody because he's a piece of shit. But anyway, yeah, it sucks that money isn't related to anything you did wrong, but it is still related to stuff somebody might have done wrong. And under U.S. law, that can still be held. Now, maybe you can sue and be like, no, that's our money, and we can show it. Because they, as far as I know, they didn't go and take money from Benny Johnson or Dave Rubin or anybody. But they were employees of the company. They weren't the one running the company that was paid for with Russian propaganda money. So I understand you're upset. I do think you should get your money back. But until that indictment is closed, chances are you're not going to see a dime of it. And yeah, that goes for all of your accounts that you were putting money from Tenet into, which includes your roaming millennial and your personal accounts. Sucks. And I hope it's resolved quickly and you get your money back. But until we change the law, which we desperately need to do, that's just how it's going to be. And I'm glad this part came up and that I reread the indictment, because I'm like, why are they still keeping her money? I mean, they're dicks like that a lot of times, where even if you've been cleared, you're like, give me my money back. And they're like, nah, we're not going to give you your money back. But in this case, there is actually a reason for it. It's because it's still tied to the actual case that happened. Anyway, we have lived humbly this past year. You don't need to be telling people. I lived humbly. We've only ate ramen. Both due to financial woes and public vilification. We have had very little certainty. You could start a Kick channel. They'll take anybody. We've had very little certainty about what our future as a family will look like. Because my American visa was contingent upon our company, we had no choice but to leave our home and children's place of birth. Stop with the anchor baby shit. You're not getting my sympathies for that. Dangerous, thank you. I was in the Tenet Discord, Monk. I can unequivocally refute that commentators were told what to say. I saw one story, and one only, that suggests not told to commentators. Nobody did the story. Yeah, and I've already talked about that. And nobody's saying that they were told what to say. Even the indictment doesn't say they were told what to say. But again, getting your filthy little fingers into stuff and getting the money out there, that's how you start things. It's not the end game. That's the start. But anyway, where are we? We lived humbly. I don't care. Oh, there it is. Because my visa is contingent upon our company, we had no choice but to leave our home and children's place of birth. We are doing everything in our power to get a new visa and return home. All right, this part is going to sound cruel, and I mentioned it earlier. I don't think you should be able to get a visa to work in the United States to run a YouTube company, to run a YouTube channel, because you can do that from fucking anywhere. You don't need to be in the United States for that. You made that decision and you came over here and had anchor babies, and that sucks. But go home. Your home is Canada. You can start a new media empire right there in Canada on Kick or even on Rumble. Rumble would take you, I'm sure. Well, maybe not because they've had probably they would. Cruel or cool? No, cruel with an R. Cruel. I like Lauren, but sweetie, you're not an American. You have no claim to coming to my country. And just because I like you doesn't mean I'm be like, yeah, she should be allowed to get around our immigration. Canada doesn't have the same freedom as the US has. I know, and she should probably apply for citizenship. That'd be what I would have done instead of getting a work visa and popping out some kids here. I would have tried for that. Canada doesn't have the First Amendment. Fair. But I mean, would she go to jail for anything she said in Canada? Maybe some of the Nick Fuentes agreement shit, maybe. But she can still run a company out of there. Just don't break Canadian laws. You can get around that shit by being clever. There's Canadian creators. Even conservative Canadian creators. They exist. You can always tell because they slip up and say a boot once in a while. Where are we? Sadly, we also lost some people who we believed were our friends. For the record, I've never stopped being friendly towards Lauren, but I'm not going to sugarcoat shit either. But more notably, we were blessed to have quite a number of our colleagues reach out with words of support, asking for donations. Some even published videos or posted in our defense. I posted in your defense for what I believed was defendable. We also have received many kind messages from our audience during this time, and I cannot thank you all enough. Your messages of support, which have continued to come, even though I have been gone from public life for a year now, never fail to bring tears to my eyes. No criminal charges were ever actually brought against myself, my husband, or our company. The legal investigation has been quietly closed. Despite this, the road ahead of us is fraught with difficulty and uncertainty. Just come out and be honest about everything. Let's get it out of the way. Go up to your Canadians and be like, hey, I'm ready to answer questions about this, and go before the parliament and answer the questions they were asking you. Get out of here with your Canadian hate. I do love that Canadians accidentally out themselves. You guys don't even realize you do it half the time. You're talking normal. You're talking like a real person. Then suddenly you'll say something like oot. Like, I'm sorry, what was that? We had to go oot. Had to go oot to eat. What the fuck are you trying to say, Canadian? Stop trying to hide amongst us normal people, all right? Just wear your maple leaf proudly. I love Canadians. You guys are awesome. I wish this ordeal was over, but our struggles continue as we fight to correct the many ways that our lives were upended. To that end, as some of you have kindly suggested and offered, we are now seeking help to cover our growing legal fees and our effort to return home. Any support is greatly appreciated, and we look forward to getting back to content creation and our lives soon. Thank you. All right, well, there it is. There's the full statement. Lots of it is superfluous. It's unnecessary. A lot of it is playing on emotions. A lot of it is not really saying anything at all. What happened? There was an investigation. Yeah, we knew that. You told us in part one of this 3-page nonsense that there was falsehoods right here. The information provided was false, inaccurate, or out of context. One, it says most of it. It says most of the information was, but doesn't give a single example of. Fuck you, dangerous. I don't care if I'm illiterate. Toasted, thank you so much over on the Streamlabs. I'm actually going to bring that up there because it's going to pop away before I can read it on the notification there. Don't correct my English. I'm bad at it, and I'm okay with it. Toasted, thank you. Funny how many people that are against anti-anchor babies and non-white immigration are angry about her not getting citizenship. Also, know this is random, but have you been watching Quartering? Seems like he's going crazy, really desperate for money. I have not been paying attention to the Quartering. Jack is keeping me apprised of that situation. And we talked about it a little bit after the show earlier, and we may be getting into the Quartering here soon. But I have some research to do on that. Anyway, you tell us here, Lauren, that the information that they provided in the indictment was false, inaccurate, or out of context. And you don't give a single example. Because people talk, hey, she gave some answers here. Monk over there, you were one of the people. Like, she answered something. What was answered here? There's literally nothing answered here. It's all nonsensical. The only thing you can take from this, I'm trying to put this as nice as I can. This is her just going, no, there's absolutely no proof of anything in here. There's no, hey, when I said this, here's the real context of that. When I told them there's no way we can make this money back, it was a joke I was making because of course we would have made that ridiculous amount of money they were paying these people who were already famous and had their own channels. I mean, none of it made sense. Even in theory, none of it made sense. So let's look at the indictment, because this is what all the fakeness is about here. Now, I am on page 9 of the indictment, and I'll throw it into chat. Oh, by the way, I didn't throw Lauren's stuff into chat. If you want to read that without my commentary, just go to her Twitter page. It's the only thing that's on there. Go check out her Twitter page for the links to all that. But here's the full indictment as released by the Justice Department. And as we can see, let's scroll up to the top. I'm on page 9 now because that's just where I stopped when I was looking at specific things. Here's the indictment. It's against Konstantin Konstya, a.k.a. Konstya, and Lena. These are two Russians who work for Russia Today and fled. They were like, shit. And so they left. There's no charge against Lauren Chen here. And all right, we'll just start at the beginning. RT, formerly known as Russia Today, is a state-controlled media outlet funded by and directed by the government of Russia. True. And I think Russia Today has done some good reporting. When it comes to getting unedited clips of things like riots in the United States, Russia Today has some of the best videos because none of our media outlets will cover them properly. But Russia Today is absolutely state-sponsored propaganda. But so is the BBC. That never gets pointed out when they talk about like Russia Today. The BBC is state-sponsored propaganda. It's paid for by the government, and it's controlled by the government. No, they're completely independent news source. It is amazing to me when we decide who is and isn't, government propaganda. So is the Australian ABC. Yeah, there's tons of it, but the only time anybody seems to really care is when it's Russia or China, right? That's state media. Fuck you. So is the BBC. After Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, RT was sanctioned, dropped by distributors, and ultimately forced to cease formal operations in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, and the European Union. In response, RT created, in its words of its editor-in-chief, an entire empire of covert projects designed to shape public opinion in Western audiences. Yeah, they're a propaganda arm. Dangerous, thank you. So people are paid millions of dollars to repeat Russian propaganda, yet we're in no way directed to air Russian propaganda. Hell, Matt has said on air he'd quit Tenet if he was ever told what to say. Okay, I hear you. I really do. But again, you're thinking in the immediate and you're not thinking the long game. And that's how you lose to commies, my friend. Do I think they ever would have told Dave Rubin or even Matt what they could or could not say? No. I do think that they at some point would have been like, you know what, we saw your latest video and it doesn't meet our editorial standards. We'll keep you paid for that one, but we're gonna take that one down. Yeah, I could absolutely see him doing that. Absolutely. Anyway, and do I think Matt would have quit over that? Maybe. From what I know of Matt, he seems like a principled guy. Do I think Tim Pool would have done that? Fuck no. He'd just be happy to cash his little check because he's a grifting piece of shit. Anyway, where are we? Over the last year, RT and its employees, including Konstia and Lena, the defendants, have deployed nearly 10 million laundered through a network of foreign shell companies to covertly fund and direct U.S. Company One. U.S. Company One published the U.S. Company One is Tenet Media. Matt principled? No. Wait, are you disagreeing that Matt's principled? I've never seen anything that would make me doubt Matt's principles, but if you have something, hit me up. Well, where are we? U.S. Company One publishes English language videos on multiple social media channels, including TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Using multiple fake personas, Elena, edited, posted, and directed the posting of U.S. Company One of hundreds of videos, many of the videos published by U.S. Company One content commentary on events and issues in the U.S., such as immigration, inflation, and other topics related to domestic and foreign policy. Now, here's something you have to understand about Russian propaganda. Even if you go back to 2016, it was sarcastic. Cool. Okay. I was like, please don't kill Matt for me. I like Matt. He seems like a good guy. Anyway, where are we? If you go back to 2016, they loved playing up. Russia was trying to get Trump elected, but if you dig in, Russia was just trying to cause chaos. They didn't really care who won. And in their defense, in most elections, who win doesn't really matter. Trump is an oddity in that. We have moved further and further left my entire life, and it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or a Republican in office. And frankly, Republicans tend to act more like Democrats than Democrats do half the time. They spend way more money than Democrats do. You know why? Because we're looking at Democrats going, hey, don't you spend that money. And the assholes are like, we're not going to spend money. I'm a Republican. Nobody's watching them as they spend a shit ton of money. That's why it always goes up and up and up and up and up and up. On the bright side, Alligator Alcatraz is staying open. Ooh, I'm assuming there's a new court case I'll have to look into. Where are we? But yeah, so the Russians, now this is something I do have a question about, because Lauren said these people uploaded directly to Tenet, which that is doable. Like I could give one of you guys permission to upload to my YouTube channel. I would never do that. One, that's just dangerous. But this says that Elena was the one who was posting the videos. Like the videos would be delivered to her and she was the one posting them. So I am curious if that's true. And this is one of the questions that I have, because you said that they were uploading them directly. Were they uploading them directly, or was Elena the one hitting the upload button? It does matter. Anyway, while the views expressed in the videos are not uniform, the subject matter and content of the videos are often consistent with the government of Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic division in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core government of Russia interests, such as its ongoing war in Ukraine. Notice that this isn't talking about the election, it's talking about the war in Ukraine there. And this was a bigger deal at the time. Remember, this blows up 2 months before the election on September 4th, but Tenet Media had been in business since the beginning of 2023 is when they, where they first incorporate. And it's, I think, early 2024 when they start putting content on the site. So at that time, there was more than just the U.S. presidential election going on. Since publicly launching in November 2023, okay, I was wrong. It was the end of 2023, not the beginning. Company One, Tenet Media, has posted nearly 2,000 videos that have garnered more than 16 million views on YouTube alone. U.S. Company One never disclosed to its viewers that it was funded and directed by Russia Today. Now, see, this is one of those questions that I have. This is why it does matter who was uploading the videos. If the creators themselves were the ones posting it to Tenet Media, then it makes sense that they were in no way, because how did they put it? They did not tell its viewers that it was funded and directed by Russia Today. If Elena, who works for Russia Today, was the one posting it, then it absolutely was directed by them. Staying out, but the creators were allowed to say whatever they want is fine. But does Matt know that every video that he gave them actually got uploaded? That there wasn't one of them where they went, ooh, maybe not this one. Or that did he watch every one of those videos and make sure they didn't cut parts out that weren't contrary to their objectives? Has anybody gone through and watched the entirety of those videos and been like, yep, every word of that is exactly what I said? Anyway, I want to get back down here because this lays out the general overview of it. But when we get down here, we get into more specifics. And page 9 is where I really... This is background on the Foreign Agents Registration Act. This is the law that the two Russians are accused of actually breaking, saying that they have to report to the Attorney General that they're working for a foreign nation. And then we get down to page 9. This is Russia Today's covert operations through the U.S. company. In or about December 2022, founder one, that is, I'm just going to start calling her Steve, or maybe I'll call her Russian one. Russian One began working with the individual operating under the fictitious name Edward Grigorian and 3 purported representatives of Edward Grigorian, Persona 1, and 2 additional purported representatives, Persona 2 and Persona 3. The reason that they're calling them Persona 1, 2, and 3 is because according to the indictment, they were all the same person, or at least all working out of the same computer. Was she duped, or is the consensus she knowingly took the money to spew Russian propaganda? Okay, good question. That's a great question, actually. Do I think Lauren knew she was being paid by Russians to spew Russian propaganda? I think she suspected. Russian Steve number 1. Yes, assassin, you get it. She's now Russian Steve number 1. I think, and especially if you read this, I think Lauren had enough reason to know that there was an issue, but she liked the money coming in, and so she didn't ask the relevant questions. She wasn't skeptical enough. And at the very least, that brings her motives into question, where money is more important than reality. I mean, she absolutely knew that the 2 women involved here were from Russia Today. It's how she knew them, from working with Russia Today. And she should have disclosed that. But I do believe that reading the indictment, that there's enough where she could be like, well, I didn't want to know, so I didn't ask those questions. Like this dude, Edward Gregorian, she looked him up. She looked him up on 2 different days, 2 days apart. Couldn't find anything. I wouldn't let people access my account. That's just dangerous. No, I wasn't giving you permission there. I was saying it was dangerous as in the verb dangerous, not the person dangerous. Thanks for answering, Monkey. Oh, I'm happy to answer. Look, I don't ignore chat the way a lot of people do. I ignore it accidentally. I want to talk to you guys. I enjoy talking to you guys. Some of my favorite streams I've ever done, I haven't had a topic. I'm just responding to you guys. But as I'm reading screen 2 over here, I often miss shit over on the other screen. Where are we? They launched a YouTube channel initially under the name Viewpoint Productions on or about January 10th, 2023. Persona 2 told Founder 1 that Founder 1's first task was to find a personality that could serve as the face of the channel, and that, quote, for the right candidate, we're willing to pay around $1 or $2 million a year. Have you watched Actual Justice Warriors video on this topic? I believe I did, and if I remember correctly, because it's been a while, unless he just released one today. Going back to the original topic of it, though, he's way more charitable than I am. So if he released a new one today, I will probably watch it when I'm done here because I don't think I'm going to be sleeping anytime. It's not true he has favorites like Nuts. I do have look, one, I do love Nuts, but when it comes to me paying attention to her rather than you guys, it honestly is accidental. I know nobody's going to believe that, but it's true. It's accidental. Although I do think I know why. And it came to me because of another creator that I happen to pay attention to that so far you guys don't seem to have caught on to, and it charged me with ignoring everybody else for them. But there's a similarity that I think is why. But anyway, you always read my chats when I say you don't read chats. Well, then stop saying I don't read chats, Dark. I read them. How dare you? Where are you guys are getting me off topic, which is fine because it's an after party and I do love Nuts. Oh God, that's yeah. Fair enough. How you doing, editor? All right, where are we? On or about January 13th, 2023, Persona 2 sent Founder 1. Founder 1 is Lauren. And where I can, I'm going to try to start just filling in the names instead of reading it the way it's read there. On or about January 13th, 2023, Persona 2, which is Lena, no, Edward / Lena / Russian asshole, sent Lauren a proposed contract for Founder 1's influencer talent scouting services with Lauren listed as the agent and a Hungarian entity listed as the client. This is a Hungarian shell entity. Hungarian shell entity 1 has no publicly available website. In exchange for Lauren's services, the proposed contract awarded Lauren $8,000 a month plus a percentage of any deals the founder closed with influencers. Over the next several months, while Founder 1 continued to negotiate Founder 1's contract, Lauren continued to do Lauren's contract. Lauren accepted. Okay, I'm just going to read it right because Founder's in here so many times. I'm just going to keep fucking that up. Founder 1, just understand Founder 1 is Lauren. Founder 1 accepted intern payments and began to scout for influencers for the new YouTube channel for Edward Gregorian. Again, a guy who does not exist. Doesn't exist. Monkey source, it came to me in a dream. That's where most of my sources come from. Monk doesn't read, he just guesses well. That's fair enough too. Half the time when I'm reading, I am guessing because I can't see what the hell you guys are saying. Beginning in or about February 2023. See, this is why I was thinking Tenet was set up in 2023, because it all starts at the beginning of 2023. They don't incorporate the company until December. Beginning in or about February 2023, Founder 1 solicited Commentator 1 and Commentator 2 to perform work on behalf of Edward Gregorian. All right, here's where it's going to get more complicated. Commentator 1 is believed to be Dave Rubin. I don't know if it's ever been officially decided, but with all the clues and stuff, Commentator 1 is Dave Rubin, and Commentator 2 is that Timmy, or is that that's Timmy. 3 is Benny. So commentators 1 and 2 would be Rubin and Tim Pool, respectively. So, on or about February 6th, Persona 1 emailed Founder 1, Lauren, a short list of candidates for the YouTube channel, including Dave Rubin and Tim Pool. In the same email, Persona 1 attached a receipt for an $8,000 money transfer from an entity in the Czech Republic to Founder 1's Canadian company. So that's Lauren's roaming millennial company that she has up in Canada. And they have a receipt from a Czechoslovakian company, from a Czech company. They got a check from Czech. That's clever. The channel started November 2023. Yeah. That's as they incorporate as Tenet and get it all set up. But anyway, so this is why when they're like, Lauren, their money's still not given to her. This is why. I mean, this is money coming from a shell company in the Czech Republic, and it's going to her Canadian company's bank account for work on Tenet. Or at that point, it was still called Viewpoint, whatever. Anyway, Persona 1 requested that Lauren submit an invoice for Founder 1 for Lauren's, consultation services to Czech shell company, which Persona 1 described as our Czech sister company. You know that you're working with the people from Russia today. You know that. And they're telling you that they're going to send you some money from their Czech sister company. And you were like, okay, this is where I get to it seems like she's trying to have plausible deniability, but the only way I can give that grace is to think roaming millennial, to think Lauren Chen. I still have trouble calling her Lauren Chen. To think Lauren is just that dumb, and I don't think she's that dumb. I just don't. But I do think, I also don't think that she was, how do I put this? I think she turned a blind eye. That's what I think happened here. She was trying to keep plausible deniability. So she's like, sure, that totally makes sense that the first check was from Hungary and the second one was from the Czech Republic. Yeah. Uh-huh. Nothing to see here, folks. Got to make my daughter a sandwich, you know? I mean, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Maybe this is why nobody gives me money. I'm too skeptical. Nobody's out here like, let's give Monkey a bunch of money for propaganda. Because I'd be like, I got questions. Not malicious. I have trouble saying not malicious when I believe somebody's turning a blind eye. You know, maybe hoping for the best, I guess. But if you have to turn a blind eye, you know you're turning a blind eye to something, even if you don't really know what that something is. You know, like if suddenly your son comes home, right? He's been living with you, he's 16, and suddenly he's buying you a brand new sports car, and you're like, what have you been doing for this money? And he's like, I got a job. And you're like, okay. There's only two things that pay that way: YouTube, which you could easily look up, or drugs. So chances are that your kid's doing drugs. And if you're just like, but I got a new sports car, so I'm not going to ask any more questions. Are you being malicious? You're turning a blind eye to it. Yeah. Who sends check anymore? Well, I'm pretty sure these are wire transfers rather than actual checks. Anyway, where are we? Czech shell company entity has a website purporting to sell automobile parts, but also listing unrelated services, e.g., cyber armor suite, fortifying your digital defenses. So Lauren Chen got a consultation fee from a Czech auto parts seller that also does cybersecurity. And this is what I'm talking about turning a blind eye. We know she looked up Mr. Gregorian, but she didn't think to have any questions about why an auto parts place. And this is a question for her. Maybe she has, maybe somebody from this Czech company was like, hey, how can I get famous on YouTube? And Lauren sent him a thing saying, have Lacey Green copyright strike you. And there she got a consultation fee. I don't know how you take a consultation fee from a Czech shell company out of context. And this is why I say that Lauren should answer questions about this. If I was her, I would probably not do it because she might not be in trouble with the law now, but if she answers some of these questions, she really could be. Where are we? The website makes no mention of Edward Gregorian, Persona 1, Persona 2, Persona 3, Viewpoint Productions, or Hungarian shell. Oh, I said Hungary, right? No, I said Turkey, didn't I? I don't fucking care. Oh, or Hungarian shell company. On or about February 6th, Founder 1 responded to Persona 2 that Founder 1 has let Founder 2, that's her husband, that's Liam, who I work with and who handles finances, know to get an invoice done. Founder 2 subsequently prepared an invoice from Canadian Company 1 to Czech Shell Entity 1, which Founder 2, Liam, transmitted to Lauren, and which Founder 1, Lauren, then emailed to Persona 1. This is hard to follow if you don't know the names already. Fuck. Founder 1 also advised that Founder 1 had reached out to Commentator 1 and will be speaking with him today. With respect to Commentator 2, Founder 1 cautioned that a contract would likely cost well over $2 million a year. The next day, on or about February 7th, Persona 1 responded that Mr. Gregorian misspelled the name of Persona 1's proposed employer, was okay with over $2 million as long as we get the right person on board under the right circumstances. Founder 1 agreed to contact Commentator 2 as well. So she already tells him that she's going to reach out to Dave Rubin, and she at this point thinks that the $1 to $2 million will be enough to get Rubin on board, but that Tim Pool is going to demand more. That's Commentator number 2. On or about February 8th, Founder 1 reported to Persona 1 that Founder 1 outreach to Commentator 1 and 2. Founder 1 advised that Commentator 1 said it would need to be closer to $5 million yearly for him to be interested. Dave is like, $2 million? Fuck you. I'm worth more than double that. And he got it. So, I mean, it's the free market. Founder 1 advised that Commentator said it would need to be $5 million, and that Commentator 2 said it would take $100,000 per weekly episode to make it worth his while. So Dave's like, I need about $5 million, and Tim Pool's like, I need $5.2 million. That's what $100,000 a week comes out to. Founder 1 cautioned that, quote, from a profitability standpoint, it would be very hard for Viewpoint, the initial name for Tenet, to recoup the cost for the likes of Commentator 1 and 2 based on ad revenue from web traffic on sponsors alone. So at this point, Lauren's like, look, they both want $5 million, and just going to be honest with you, we're probably not going to make that money back. And I wish they would have included more of the quotes here. But I mean, that's a reasonable thing to think about a startup media company. The idea that even bringing on Dave Rubin and Tim Pool is just suddenly going to make your new YouTube channel ridiculously successful, especially when they're still doing their own things, is retarded. And nobody with a brain at this point would be like, definitely hire those two guys. And again, remember, this is more than double what the invented Edward Gregorian said he was willing to pay for them. He's like, we'll pay $1 to $2 million, which, by the way, for the two of them, a total of $4 million, you probably wouldn't have made that back either. But he's like, $4 million for them. And they're like, no, combined, we want 10. And they're like, cool. Who the fuck is doing your negotiating? Uncle Jack? That's a Always Sunny reference. I'm not talking about Jack, my co-host. Anyway, where are we? Despite Founder One's warning that Commentator 1 and 2 would not be profitable to employ on or about February 14th, Persona 1 informed Lauren that, quote, we would love to move forward with Commentator 1 and 2. We're willing to pay $2 million. They want $5 million. Cool. We're not going to make that money back. Ask, no problem. And Lauren had no questions here, at least none that we see. So maybe this is another one where maybe she has a good explanation for why this raised no red flags for her. Couple of Russians who are paying you through Hungarian and Czechoslovakian. Is it still Czech? Is it just the Czech Republic now? The Czech, they're paying you through shell companies in Hungary and the Czech Republic, have just agreed to pay more than double what they had said they were willing to pay for these two guys for a venture that even can't make this money back. And it didn't raise a red flag for you at all? Not one? You weren't like, this seems fishy. But see what I mean about trying to, again, we're going by the indictment. Maybe she has good answers for this. This is why I say she needs to answer questions. But just based on what we're reading right here, and remember the part about them not being able to make the money back, that's a quote. That's a quote from Lauren. So maybe it's out of context. Maybe she's like, we're not going to make this money back. Just kidding. We'll make it no problem. Maybe they left that part off of her statement. But I'm having trouble believing that's true. Chechnya and Slovakia separately. Oh, right. I forgot about that. I'm still calling them Czechoslovakia. Fuck them. Stop making new countries in my lifetime. That shit should be over by now. Where are we? On or about February 17th, Founder 1 sent an email introducing Commentator 2 to Edward Gregorian, Persona 1 and Persona 2, which we'll find out later. Persona, or maybe we already found out. Persona 1, 2, and 3, again, they all came from the same IP address. Anyway, where are we? The parties arranged a call between Commentator 2, Tim Pool, and Edward, which took place on or about February 22nd, 2023. In scheduling the call, Tim Pool requested that Edward call him directly on his cell phone. Instead, Persona 2 asked if the call could take place on WhatsApp or Zoom. Both applications offer encrypted communication and the ability to place voice calls through voice over IP. On or about February 22nd, Founder 1 emailed Persona 1 that Founder 1 had spoken with Commentator 2, Tim Pool, who was happy with the licensing agreement that was discussed. That is the $400,000 per episode with a $100,000 signing bonus. On Commentator 2's call with Edward, Founder 1 continued, however, that Commentator 2 still would like to know more about the company and who they'll be working with. Lauren added that Lauren had assured Tim Pool that as we finalize the contract and begin working to put this show together and coordinate the launch, everyone will have time to get to know each other better and feel less like strangers. Now, this is one where I can give her a little benefit of the doubt. Maybe she thought that this Edward Gregorian guy was a real dude and that he was just like really secretive. I mean, I'm being as generous as I can be here. But that's a quote from Lauren, according to the DOJ. Look, the DOJ, you might be able to say that she was not quoted here, but typically in an indictment, for legal reasons, they can't put in a quote that's not a real quote. Now, they can take the quote completely out of context. But notice that in Lauren's thing, she doesn't address any of these. And this is why I say she needs to answer questions. Lauren, is that an actual quote from you? Fair. I mean, that's a very. Can we see where the quote comes from? It comes from private conversation that they were having, I believe, either in their Discord or through emails. Yeah, it's emails. It even says it right there, emailed. Anyway, where are we? On or about February 28th, Founder One emailed Persona One that Founder One had spoken with Commentator One. So she's back to talking with Dave, who would like some material on Mr. Gregorian to learn a bit about who he would be working with. Founder One asked if there were any links, press links, interviews, LinkedIn profiles, etc., that we can forward. Commentator One, or forward to Commentator One about Edward. On or about March 2nd, Persona One responded to Founder One's email, writing that Persona One was unsure that, quote, Mr. Gregorian, ... This is one of those places where you can be like, what's the actual quote? Because they put some ellipses in there so they don't have to tell us exactly what it said. Gave out any public interviews, but you could send Commentator One our LinkedIn page with a hyperlink to a LinkedIn page for Viewpoint Productions. Persona One also attached a receipt for another $8,000 transfer from the Czech shell company to the Canadian company. This is why the Canadians are looking at you. Yeah, because no rich people ever invest in things that won't make a profit. There's not making a profit, and there's losing $10 million a year on on a YouTube channel. I mean, yeah, people invest in stuff that lose money, but typically not. There's two reasons to do it. One, you're laundering money, or two, you're just that Sorosian. You are just that into your activism to turn America into a communist state. I get you being a little skeptical here, but come on. The guy doesn't even exist. He doesn't exist. Even to this day, nobody can find Mr. Gregorian, and these people can't even spell his name consistently. Anyway, where are we? On or about April 21st, and again, on or about April 24th, Lauren performed Google searches for Edward and for Bank One, Edward Gregorian. Now, this is important because they claim that Edward worked for this bank. This is another reason we know he doesn't exist. The bank is real. I forget what the bank was. The bank is real. They have no record of him ever working for them. And if you search the bank and his name, as Lauren did, you find nothing. If we're going by that, the accused doesn't exist. No, the accused does exist because the two people who are accused are the two Russian assets that work for Russia today, Lena and Kostya. Where are we? As of in or about August 24th, neither Google search returns any results for a person by that name, much less any web pages describing an Edward Gregorian in finance professionally affiliated with Bank One. The guy doesn't exist. So she looked him up in April, and as of August, he still didn't fucking exist. On or about April 24th, Lauren emailed Persona One that Dave Rubin was really insisting on seeing some materials, profile, article, whatever, on Edward before he feels comfortable moving forward. See, even this is another point that is like, come on, you had to fucking know. Tim Pool and Dave Rubin were like, look, before I do this, I need to know who this guy is. For going by that, the accused doesn't exist. I searched RT, and the only result is RT taking the piss out of the indictment or stories about the people. Okay, dangerous. Look up their names. Look up their names. You'll find articles about them. And you're trying to stretch this to be, hey, he doesn't work for that bank, therefore he doesn't exist. You can't find anything about the guy. He didn't exist before this story at all. And before this story, you could look up those two are known people. Lauren worked with them at Russia Today. All right, where are we? Is there anything we can provide him with? Persona 1 responded, we'll send you a profile on Mr. Gregorian that you could send over to Dave Rubin. On or about May 4th, Persona 1 emailed Lauren the CV to provide to Commentator 1, to Dave Rubin. Profile is reproduced with redactions and blurring below. And it's this right here. This Andrew Tate looking bullshit. You know what? We can zoom in on this a little bit more. Edward Gregorian, experienced finance professional, and investor, deeply engaged in business and philanthropy, leveraging skills and resources to drive positive impact, supporting a range of organizations worldwide with a dynamic. Yeah, he was under this fake name. He had a Czech and Hungarian company. Dynamic presence mainly in Brussels and London, engaging in personal and professional pursuits in each location with a focus on poverty alleviation, championing free speech, and advocating social justice causes. Now, this actually comes up in the communications. You're talking about Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Matt Christensen, Lauren Southern, and that Taylor guy who I always forget. They get sent this thing to introduce you to Edward. And at the top of the page, it tells you he's into social justice. Yeah, that seems like a perfect fit for the creators involved. Life and education. He was born in Brussels, Elixir neighborhood in 1975 to French-American father and Belgian mother, 1996 to 2002. Bachelor's degree in economics and management at somewhere. 2000 to 2003. Master's, As somebody born in 1975, I don't know how the schools are over in Brussels or wherever he went to school at, but I would have, if I left high school and went immediate to college, I'd have had my bachelor's degree in 97 because we're the graduating class of 93. Maybe he took a few years off to go backpacking. I don't fucking know. Anyway, 2000 to 2003, got his master's of accounting, finance, and political science. Professional experience, financial analyst and consultant for a Belgian bank. He's a tax advisor service, relocated to Singapore. I've never heard of an accountant getting really rich. I mean, even good, not I can blow $10 million on two people rich. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe Belgian accountants are just that good. They're better than Jewish accountants. Anyway, I'll leave it on the screen for another second if anybody wants to read the rest of it. It's just nonsensical. It's all just nonsense. There's the bank one. Various positions at Bank One in Brussels and France. Junior risk management analysis responsible for analyzing risk associated with various investments and developing risk management strategies. Seems like a perfect fit for an accountant. Associated Bank One. Again, Bank One, I don't know which bank it is, but they have no record of this guy. You know why? Because he doesn't fucking exist. Anyway. Oh, got it. Even my blind ass doesn't need the text that big. There we go. Bank One's affiliate in the United States has no record of an Edward Gregorian ever being employed by Bank One. Nor as set forth above do Google searches for Bank One Edward Gregorian yield any results for a person by that name. Other irregularities in Founder One's email correspondence further signaled that Edward Gregorian and his purported representative Persona 1 through Persona 3 were all fake personas. For example, by on or about February 16th, Persona 1 had misspelled the surname of his purported boss as Gregorian, leaving off an N, in at least 4 separate emails. Now look, Gregorian is a rather rough name to remember how to spell, I'm going to guess. But this one isn't as damning. Oh, you misspelled a name by leaving off an N. Where are we? On or about February 10th, Persona 3 sent an email to a potential influencer, copying Founder 1 and signing the email as Edward Gregorian rather than as Persona 3. So from the email account of Persona 3, they signed it with Edward's name. Whoopsie. After the email recipient expressed confusion as to whether the sender was Edward or Persona 3 quickly responded, in part, Edward forwarded this email to me and asked me to replay on his behalf. Yeah, that's the kind of thing you put in a follow-up email. That's not a, hey, Edward asked me to send this to you. I occasionally get asked to send things to Jack, and I'll tell you right now, if you ask me to send something to Jack, I tell him that you're the one who asked me to send it. My private communications are private, but at that point, you're asking me to reach out to someone else. You don't just be like, "Oops, that was me." Anyway, digital forensic evidence further confirms that Edward Gregorian and Persona 1 through 3 were in truth and in fact the same individual. For example, on approximately 39 occasions between in or about November 2023 and July 2024, email accounts used by Edward Gregorian and Persona 1 to communicate with Lauren Chen were accessed from the same internet protocol address at around the same time. And maybe they're all working in the same building at the same computer. I don't fucking know. As another example, on or about January 10th, Persona 1 emailed the text of a draft email to Persona 2, which Persona 2 then passed into a new email and sent to Founder 1 from Persona 2's email account. I don't know what that doesn't actually show anything unless they're from the same computer. I don't fucking care. Founder 1 transmitted that Edward Gregorian profile to Dave Rubin to persuade him to work on behalf of Edward. On or about May 12th, Founder 1 reported that Commentator 1 had a problem with the profile we sent over, specifically the reference to social justice. I think this is a quote here, I think it may be because that's usually a term used by liberals, but we're trying to create a conservative network. Founder 1 suggested that Dave Rubin and Edward could simply speak together to clarify the profile. But see, I don't want to go through the rest of this. Again, I tossed it into chat. I'll do it one more time if you guys want to go through and read yourself. If you look at Lauren's excuse for this, her finally telling my side of the story for this, it doesn't address any of this shit. It doesn't address that even she had to go back to these people and go, they have some issues with this. First of all, they don't know who this guy is, and they're very curious about that. And they want to know who he is. And I got to say, for the people involved who were questioning this, like Dave and Tim, really? Really? I know it was $5 million, but come on, bro. You were clearly skeptical of it. And that fake ass write up there, that wasn't in a magazine or anything. That was a profile that they put together. And you're like, I'll work with them now that I know the check clears. Really? But there's questions about this. There's good questions about this. Like, Lauren, why were you getting consultation money from a Czech auto parts store? Why is a Czech auto parts store also doing internet safety? 5 million to give people tunnel vision. Yeah, well, but it was even after the contract was offered that he's like, nah, I need to know who this guy is. And they sent over that piece of shit. Where is it? Let's bring that back up on the screen. They sent this over. I mean, come on. You got to have some discernment here. I mean, this is a Google image if I've ever seen one. Fuck me, man. It's not easy working for guys that write bad checks. No, it's not. It's not. When it comes to the creators, my only issue with them is, come on. My other, what is 16 million divided by 2,000? Where's my calculator? There it is. Hang on, I gotta do some maths. Let's see, 16, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by 2,000. What? That was only 200. Okay, 8,000. If what else is opening up on there? There we go. $8,000 or 8,000 views per video is what they were averaging on Tenet Media. You're paying Dave Rubin $400,000, $400,000 for 8,000 views. What? They average 8,000 views on their videos, and you're paying 3 different people $400,000 per episode that they themselves create. So per week, actually. So per week, I don't know how much you guys know about AdSense, but that would be an amazing CPM. That would be an absolutely fucking amazing CPM. Even with some sponsors, you're not making that kind of money. You're just not. How many people were watching Colbert? If you were, 1. Any of the balls to say that was his going rate? Are you talking about Dave? I mean, look, if you can get that kind of money, by all means, get that kind of money. But somebody had to look at this and go, there's no fucking way. Now, us as the audience, not knowing how much they were being paid for this, fair enough. I mean, we had no access to the back end, but Lauren knew how much all of these people were being made or were making because she was getting a cut of their salary. She was getting a percentage based on the contract that she got them. She knew how much that was going out. And the amount total was like 9.8 million or something like that. I don't remember the exact dollar amount that they did end up spending. But on paper, they were going to be spending basically $15 million a year on 3 creators. I don't know what Matt made. I don't know what Taylor made. I don't know what Southern made. But those three were making 400,000 an episode when the average that they were getting for episodes was 8,000 viewers. There is no world where that math works. There's just no world where that math works. I don't care how much you like conservative commentary. There's no way that is a business plan that is at all sustainable. And I don't give a shit how much this guy likes. What is it? Poverty alleviation, championing free speech and social justice. There's no world where you're spending $15 million to make what amounts to, let's see, 8,000 views and get you, if you have a really good CPM, $16. Yeah, do the math on that shit. That is an incredible CPM if you can get it. You can get $2 per 1,000 views. It's an amazing CPM. And I have heard of certain creators who've gotten up to $5. So let's use $5. Great, you made $40 for an episode you spent 400,000 on. There's no way that makes sense to anyone who knows the finances going on. And this is one of the questions I have for Lauren. That is Diablo Immortal whale money, right? So look, I don't hate Lauren, and maybe she has some good answers for this stuff, but at present, she hasn't given any of them. Her little statement, where was that? Do I still have that open? No. Oh yeah, I do. I forgot that I opened each page separately so I could read them because it was small type. This statement here doesn't answer a single fucking question that needs answered. The closest she comes is saying the stuff was taken out of context. That what was it? They were mostly false, inaccurate, or out of context. Okay, well, make it make sense. Make it make sense that you didn't question how you were paying $400,000 for an episode that was going to get 40. Not 40,000, $40. You're missing a couple of zeros there. There's 4 fucking zeros missing, and you had no questions? Really? This is why Lauren doesn't talk to me sometimes. Maybe you got a good answer. But I'm sorry, I can't give you the benefit of the doubt until you give some of those answers. And simply pointing to Merrick Garland being a shitbag. Look, DOJ is full of assholes. FBI does dirty shit. When they killed Dillinger, it was fucking dirty. When they killed Bonnie and Clyde, that's some dirty shit these people pulled. But that doesn't mean that Dillinger and Bonnie and Clyde were good people. It doesn't mean that they weren't the degenerate shitbags they were accused of being. That the FBI and DOJ does stuff wrong sometimes doesn't make everything they do illegitimate. And until she answers some of these questions, yeah, I'm still going to look at her skeptically, because there is no world where what happened here makes any sense. To be fair, Monkey, Chen shutting the fuck up is perfectly fine for now. I still think things can still be used against her in Canada. That would be fine if she hadn't said and there was, I can speak out now. I'm with you. If I'm her, I shut the fuck up, because there's some lingering questions that in my most outrageous imaginings, I guess is the word I want, that I can come up with something that makes any goddamn sense. So yeah, it's probably okay to shut the fuck up, but don't come out and say that, I'm finally going to tell my side and then not tell your side at all. You mean a CPM of $2,000 per view isn't normal? No, it's really not. It's that is out of the realm of believability. And even if they had like sponsors, right? Maybe you're going to get a few $1,000s per episode. I can't see many sponsors being like, yeah, we'll We'll spend $400,000 for a Dave Rubin Tenet video. uh, uh, okay. When it comes to sponsorships, do you guys understand how sponsorships work on YouTube and on social media in general? Some people get a flat rate, and most of these guys are big enough to get a flat rate. But smaller people, they get a percentage of sales. So like that's why they tell you use code monkey at checkout. That way the company knows that you guys bought it from me, or the link in my description has a direct thing to that. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so don't look. But you get a percentage of what was sold. So if you sell a computer for them and the computer costs $2,000, you might get 5%. You might get 10% if they're really generous. I can speak out and I can be specific or not the same. You seem very offended at this one, Dangerous. You're right. They're not the same. But if you're going to speak out, then speak out. She could answer questions. If she's able to say, wait, where was it? I'm going to bring it on the screen again. That most of the information provided was false, inaccurate, or out of context. You can explain where those were false, inaccurate, or out of context, or you shouldn't say it. Hang on, I got a donation coming through. It's a longer one, so I need to open this up here. Thank you so much, of all potatoes. Some Australian news. The leader of Australia's largest white nationalist group was arrested for defending himself from a group of Antifa attackers, and for his bail, he would be required to disavow his political beliefs. Yep, that's current day Australia. Two things. One, fuck that guy for being a white nationalist. And two, Australia, get your shit together. All you're doing is pushing people to him. You're making him famous, or more famous than he was, and giving people who are like, if they silence you, that's where the real truth is. That's not always true. Sometimes it's just an asshole telling lies. But yeah, come on, Australia. You can do better than that. Ignore the fucker. I saw that Bering did a video on that, and I started to watch it, but I was busy with something else. So I need to go back and watch it. It's him and Sugar Tits talking about the protest going on there. But yeah, you shouldn't have laws against speech. You shouldn't, if you're actually defending yourself, you shouldn't go to jail for it. But Australia's been fucked for a little while, bro. If I were you, I'd come to these states and knock up Lauren Chen for a anchor baby. That was mean. I apologize, Lauren. But your anchor baby's none of my fucking concern. And you not being able to get back in here for a job you can do anywhere in the world is also not my concern. Our credibility is used against us. Oh. Perception management has evolved into a complex network of actors playing their craft. Our credibility is used against it. Another reason that this is interesting that this came out now is this is right on the heels of finding out all of these lefty YouTubers are getting dark money. And for all we know, shit, some of them might be being paid by the Russians. I could definitely see the Russians sponsoring Hassan. But we'll never know because it's all dark money. It comes from a 501c4. And a 501c4 can do political activity, and they get to keep all of their donors secret. So we don't even know who those people are. But it made me laugh as I was reading through this indictment again, that Lauren was getting $8,000 per her consultations, because that's the exact same amount that all the liberal people are getting. What is with the $8,000 thing? Is that some kind of Russian signal? 8,000. That's a very specific number to keep coming up. Or maybe they saw, that Lauren was paid $8,000. So they're like, well, if we're going to copy the right wing, we got to pay 8,000 as well. A weirdly specific, right? 8,000. Where does that come from? And why 8,000? That's a lot of money. It's $96,000 a year for the ones who are making it weekly, or sorry, monthly. Um, it's nothing to sneeze at, but it is an odd number. Odd number. It's also weird to me, and here's where we're going to get into the politics part of it and the media part of it, and yeah, I guess even Merrick Garland to a point. When this all broke, because it was Russia Today involved in it, this was a major story, and because it was conservative media, it was a major story. If this had been Hassan, nobody would care, or we would care, but it wouldn't be a major media story. All of these influencers getting paid. I mean, even if you look at the guy who's defending himself against Taylor Lorenz's article in Wired, he doesn't say that they didn't pay these guys this stuff. He just goes, she's getting paid too. All of them seem to be dirty. It's amazing to me how many of these people who make it big and stuff seem to be on the take from folks that nobody's telling us about. They're getting paid by people who they're not letting it be known. Remember Dave Packman, that oddly weird looking little fucker that we watched when the Taylor Lorenz article came out? He's actually come out and suggested that he might sue people, but it might be too expensive to sue people for saying he's being paid. Yeah, that's the issue. It's not that discovery would be a thing. And we get to see you were being paid, you little shit. Evolved Potato, thank you. Oh, the government is definitely encouraging both sides of it because the police escorted the white nationalists to the front of the protest near the cameras, get them more popular to crack down even harder and get them more power. Yeah. By get them more power, it means the government. And yeah, I mean, it's not an unusual tactic for gaining control. We've seen the Democrats in our country do it over and over again. They will hype up people like Nick Fuentes and Richard Spencer and the Proud Boys. Michael, thank you. Still no prosecutions over the Hunter quid pro quo. Oh, no, there's never going to be. Never going to be. And Midas Touch too. Yeah, Midas Media is a bunch of douchebags. Don't even get me started on those fuckers. But as for the Hunter quid pro quo, I mean, there's not much you can actually do in that case. I know everybody hates to hear that, but proof is a thing that we're supposed to need. And these guys are dirty enough that they keep that from coming out. All right, I need to use the restroom, and Jack's not here, so I don't want to leave Lauren on the screen. You know what? I'll leave this on there so you guys can read it if you want to. I'll be right back. Don't worry, I do this on like game streams and shit from time to time too. But unlike some shitbags, I don't pretend I'm creating content. I'm creating urine. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back. Did you miss me? Thank you again, Michael. Biden said it on live TV. What more do we need? You need proof that it actually happened. Um, One, Biden is known for being a braggart liar. So there's a good chance that that story never happened in that capacity. What you know what probably happened in that? They probably offered to do that. They probably offered to drop the case in exchange for the money, and he changed that to I strong armed him because he's a lying braggart. So it there's a good chance it was more of a direct bribe rather than quid pro quo, which that's still quid pro, but you have to prove it, and we have no proof of that conversation. That conversation happened in person. At least worth an inquiry. Again, at what's the objective there? I know nobody likes to hear this kind of shit because it was clearly dirty. Something dirty happened there. And in Biden's own telling, yeah, he he did what they tried impeaching Trump over. And it the thing is, Biden can come out and just go, that never happened. I was just trying to brag. And how are you going to prove he's not telling the truth at that point? This is one of the problems with law enforcement is just somebody saying something doesn't mean shit. I know it's not satisfying. I do. Trust me, I do. But that's the reality we live in. All right, I think it's time for a kitty cat picture. Now, I know that oh, that sucks. Sorry. Oh, look, I got a kitty picture, and it's a great one too because it's a kitty who's clearly been cleaning himself recently, and for some reason, I know why I'm fascinated by these because of my cat. Because Miss Phoebe sits like that all the time. This morning, I went upstairs with her. I guess this afternoon, and she was on my shoulder, and I put her down on the counter because that's where I put her when I make my food and stuff each day. And she normally just sits on the edge of the counter, and I pet her every now and then, and she just sits there and purrs. But about halfway through me making my lunch, she runs off. I'm like, that was weird. And then I look over and she's sitting in the window with a sunbeam cleaning herself for the world to see. Like, maybe she just likes sunlight on her little kitty vajayjay, her KK. Anyway, yeah, I love pictures like this. The kitty cat sitting on his ass. And then also that is how Phoebe sits most of the time, is on her butt. All right, now this means that we can just chat. So if you guys got stuff to say, now's the time where I'm paying attention at least a little bit more than normal. But yeah, I know that those answers aren't satisfactory, and there's so many times, like when Jack was talking this morning about who's that fat bitch? Whichever one accused her aunt of covering for a pedophile. The way that defamation laws work, you have to prove that they knew what they were saying is false. Defamation per se can open up more avenues than straight defamation, but the truth is she's probably going to win that case because you have to prove otherwise. Thanks, man. I always ask questions about that since media are such cunts. The media are, and when it comes to like the Lauren Chen case, roaming millennial, fuck it. When it comes to the Lauren case, this is where two things can be true at once, right? The media is shit. They absolutely jumped all over that story because it was conservatives. Doesn't mean the story itself isn't real. And this is how the press gets away with a lot of stuff, is that they tell sometimes real stories. But if you pay attention to the stories they're not telling, it becomes very clear what their objective is. And that's what a lot of their propaganda is. The suppression of that information stole the election. Correcting the history books is more than enough, in my opinion. Um, I hear you. And while polls show that people would have not voted for Biden if they'd known about the laptop, that's very easy for people to say after the election. Again, this is another one of those where you're probably not going to like my answer. Do I think the polls actually showed that? Sure, I have no problem with that. But I also think that it depends on how you ask questions. And I think it matters who you ask. I don't think the Hunter Biden laptop story would have really changed much. And here's what, listen, just hear me out. Even with the way the media did finally cover the story, what did they talk about? Did they talk about the 10 or the not 10%? That's what it was, right? 10% for the big guy? No. Did they talk about meetings that were being set up by Hunter to get his dad's influence? No. It was all they want to talk about is how he's got his balls on display. Look at these dirty pictures of Hunter. They're just sensationalizing this. So that's what the story would have been. None of it would have been about the important stuff that we needed to know. Evolve, thank you so much. Speaking about Hunter, emails have come out from the previous administration that Biden didn't know who was being pardoned with the auto pen. I would be surprised if he knew any of the people who were being pardoned. Honestly, he pardoned so many goddamn people, and it's amazing how many people get pardoned these days. Republicans pounce on the laptop. Exactly, dangerous. Exactly. You're right. Unfortunately, yeah. Look, I'm a buzzkill. I get why diehards don't want to listen to me because I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling you what I honestly believe, and sometimes it's fucking depressing. I would be surprised if he knew what day it was. Absolutely. Well, what else do we got? I mean, look at Sam Harris as an example of why it wouldn't really matter. Yeah. Sam Harris was like, even if they found dead kids in Hunter's basement, I'd still vote for Joe because he's a dick. The vote count just would have been 90 million Trump and 91 million Biden. The fix was in. Now, Faithless, I'm with you on that too. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that part of what went on in the election, but there was certainly some irregularities. And they're like, no, we knew that the votes were under the table. Yeah, well, why did you only bring them out after you sent everybody fucking home? You're like, we're done for the night. Are they gone? All right, pull out those other votes. We'll start counting. That is suspicious as fuck. Does that mean anything bad happened? No. Does that mean it's legit to ask questions? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a politer way of putting it. I'm nothing if not diplomatic in my speech. It's actually funny. Occasionally, Lady Monkey will want to say something, and she'll come to me and go, "How do I put this nicely?" Because for all of my brashness, I can be very eloquent too. I know how to speak politically. It's why I got along well at Walmart, despite management hating me for me also being a jackass to them. I sure you are. I believe you. Oh, I'm absolutely very silver tongued, as they say. I can be uh, overly diplomatic. I know good ways to put things. I have absolute contempt for the press. Me too, Wes. I hate them. There was no fraud. There was no widespread fraud. Yeah, they love that distinction, don't they, Kyle? Like, there was no widespread fraud, just enough to sway the election. Was about to say you have years of experience in customer service. It's not just customer service. I mean, it's something. My whole life, I've been both brash and capable of being the most charming little shit you ever met. Okay, how do you say damn you're stupid in polite speech? Well, it depends on what they said to you. One, typically, if I'm at the point of damn you're stupid, I just say damn you're stupid. But if like somebody says something dumb, like really dumb, uh, a polite way to counter it is to just point out the fact of where they're wrong and whatever dumb shit they said. But I hear what you're saying, but did you know this is true? And that's me calling you an idiot, but pointing out the facts at the same time. Context is important when it comes to schmoozing. Context is very important when it comes to schmoozing. Bless your heart is how Southern people say it. That's true. But everybody knows what bless your heart means, so it's not really. What you not dropping a hard R, retard? I say retard, but tard is one of my favorite shortenings of that. Phoebe update. Phoebe didn't sleep in bed the last several nights. So when the girls stay over, Lady Monkey sleeps with a couple of them upstairs, and I sleep with Little Butt down here. And she does not like anybody being in her bed that's not me or Lady Monkey. So to punish us, she doesn't sleep in bed with us for a couple of days. And tonight she was back in bed with us, and it was so cute. I love when she punishes herself. It makes me laugh. I see intelligent has been chasing you, but you've always been faster than it. That is one of my favorite ones, Rotten Corpse, but it's not one I've ever actually used. Well, I can't do it. I just walk away. Learning the art of schmoozing is important. Just for general conversation and stuff, because you're going to run into people that annoy the shit out of you. And being polite to them is just normal civil behavior. You don't have to be friendly with them or anything. I don't see a reason not to be most of the time. Look, I was with my family this last weekend. Went and saw my dad's brothers. One of them had an anniversary, and I don't go on Facebook anymore, but my wife tells me about them, and several of them hate Donald Trump. Like, he is the ultimate evil of everything. You guys know these kind of folks. But when we're together, none of that shit comes up, and we're very friendly and polite and family to each other. But thinking about their actual politics, if politics would have come up, they probably would have kicked me out. You have two brain cells, and they're both trying for third place. Oh, I like that one, Backscan. That is good. That is very good. Did you see all of the ADF politicians dropping dead just before an election? Over there in Germany, right? I did see a story about that, but I didn't read it. Or I saw a tweet about it and didn't read it. Or read deeper into it. I did see that it happened. Didn't the ADF get outlawed or something like that? Wasn't there something to that too? Keeping up with foreign politics. Look, guys, I know that you guys get forced to watch a lot of our shit, and we just don't get forced to watch your stuff the same way. So a lot of it ends up running together, and it's not me being the I guess part of it is the arrogant American. But most of that stuff doesn't affect us the way that U.S. policy ends up affecting you guys. So a lot of your stuff ends up running together, or I just can't keep up with it with all of the shit going on here. We have an election next year here in Virginia. Whoops. We have an election here in Michigan next year for our governor. Virginia is going through their election right now. We have the midterms next year. Everybody's gearing up for 2028 already. There's a lot to keep track of. 7 ADF politicians have now died of natural causes. Well, it sucks when that happens, man. A lot of their members were disallowed from running. Now a lot of the rest are dead. Yeah, it's amazing how that shit happens. And just seeing the headline about it, I was thinking, when did the ADF go to Mexico? Because Mexican politicians drop like flies. Although, in fairness to the Mexicans, They just murder him outright in front of everybody. It's not that's nothing to laugh at, but I do love having to hear every now and then about the Mexican president and her misgivings about our country when that twat is the leader of a country that literally murders their politicians in broad daylight. I'm sorry, they don't do it. The cartels do it. And they just happen to win because the other candidate's dead. I guess those 7 should not have gotten the COVID vaccine. Yes. And avoided roofs. Yeah, it sucks when that shit happens. Oh, I am so tired. I went to bed at 7 and I woke up at 9:30 and I had a horrible pain in my left calf that woke me up. And I was turned. Okay, if you're looking at my bed, I sleep on the left side. And I was turned to the left so that I'm on my right shoulder, but I'm away from Lady Monkey. She's behind me. And I get up and I rub my leg and I lay back down and I look over in her direction because I turned that way and she's just staring at me. Now, what you need to know about my wife is she sometimes sleeps with her eyes open. Creepy. And she doesn't do it as much as she used to when she was younger. But I couldn't tell if she was awake or not. And then she got a grin on her face. I'm like, why are you staring at me? That's weird. And she's like, no, you're staring at me. Even I'm in pain and tired, and this woman is fucking with me. Hey, Monk, did you see the police in Dearborn, Michigan? No, what did the police in Dearborn do, Wade? My bro used to sleep like that. One of my granddaughters does the sleeping with their eye open thing, and it's just as creepy as what they're cute as hell when they're awake and running around. A child staring at you when they're asleep is disturbing because of all the scary movies. I was up for 30 hours and took a 6-hour nap. Now I'm going to be awake for about 28. I don't feel like 6 hours is a nap, bro. That's just a short sleep. But go get some sleep now. Do what everybody else does. Leave me on. Close your eyes and just listen. And you'll get a little bit of sleep. Might be a wizard. This is one of those comments where I've said so many things in the last couple of minutes. I have no idea what that's in regard to. I just tagged you. I'll check it out later. We're at the point of the show where I'm actually wrapping up, but I don't have anything else to do and probably not going to get any sleep anytime real soon. So you guys have to hear me just ramble. Oh, sleeping with eyes open. Yeah. Wizard would be much more acceptable than anything that goes through your mind when you roll over and see somebody staring at you snoring. It's you just immediately think demon. I've been sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night for the last few months. Oh, it sucks, Backscan. I do that most of the time. Most of my sleep is 4 hours or less. And it drains. It's the ones where I only get an hour or two for like a week. That's where I'm like, I want to bang my head till I pass out. Gandalf fell asleep, Gandalf sleeps with his eyes open. Does he? The police department in Michigan has just revealed America's first police badge to feature Arabic writing. Well, I mean, it's Dearborn. I'm shocked it's just now happening. You know, I don't like it, but I kind of at least get the push for Spanish language. I mean, have you guys seen the demographics of America and how they've shifted over the years? I'm not talking about white replacement here. I'm actually talking about black replacement. If you go back just a couple of decades, black people were like 13% of the population. And now they're about 13% of the population. Meanwhile, the Hispanic portion of the population has more than doubled. They went from being like 5 or 6% to being like 16%. There's more of them than black people in the United States now. So I kind of get the Spanish thing. I don't like it. I think the official language should be English, American English, by the by. But why you would need Arabic writing that in America? No, that makes no goddamn sense. None. That is funny to point out to black folks. Like, you guys, white replacement, that it's what they want. They've made no bones about that. If you call it that, they start, oh my God, you're racist. No. You guys have been pretty open. You guys actively cheered at the notion that white people would no longer be the majority by what was it supposed to be? 2020, 2024, something like that. There were all kinds of headlines. This goes back to the early 2000s. Like, well, at this rate, white people will no longer be the majority. But they're totally not involved in white replacement. But they're not replacing us with black people. No. They want to keep black people right where they are. And they have. With abortion. And murder. Yeah. Take away all the dads. Look, the population doesn't grow. Weird. It is amazing how, if you look at the population statistics, the black population just kind of flatlines. Totally coincidentally. But yeah, the replacement is some of it's white replacement, but it's largely black replacement. If black people hadn't have been aborted at the rate that they were, if all of those babies had been born, you're talking a doubling of the black population, which would put them ahead of Hispanics in the percentage of the American population. But don't worry, it's totally not because Democrats have hated black people since the beginning. It's all coincidental. It's not that Margaret Sanger got her wish. No. How dare you suggest? You just hate women if you point out that black folks have had their population halved. I fucking hate these people. Oh, man. But yeah, there's no reason for us to be putting anything in Arabic. And then they import Haitians. Not very many. For even with the importation of Haitians, it wasn't enough to counter all of the, what do we call them? Latinos? Hispaniols? What are we supposed to call them these days? I have no idea. The people south of the border. So leave it that way. Them supporting slaughtering black babies in their mind is perfectly okay. Yes, perfectly okay, KK. Fair. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that black people put up with this shit. But they've also convinced a lot of black people the government owes us everything. They owe us reparations. Why we suck. No, it's because you have a victim mentality that they gave you. Latinx, that's right. The Mexican tissue, Latinx. The technocratic neo-feudalism will be the brave new world revisited flavor, not the boot on the neck of humanity forever. I've been paying a lot of attention to the communists lately. I always have, but paying attention to how they're getting in power around the world. The communists finally figured out that they don't need violent revolution. All you have to do is brainwash people and you can get your way. Communism is leaked all over the world. The domino theory is real. And they're falling one after another. And even here in the United States, I mean, the latest Jubilee, what was it called? Surrounded, is the capitalist versus the anti-capitalist. See, they're not commies. No, no, no. They're anti-capitalist. Because being a commie, that's still kind of dirty. You can be a democratic socialist, which for some reason is fine. But they're anti-capitalist because we're in the late stages of that's my favorite. Late stage capitalism. What? What? But all the commies had to do was slowly infiltrate. Now they some of the founders are long dead and gone, but what they wanted is happening across the country, across my country. They give them free shit that isn't really free. No, that's free. The billionaires need to pay their fair share and give me free shit. And frankly, things like AI and automation are going to eventually bring it to us. Elon Musk, he's helping push in the world of communism. In the communist utopia, nobody actually has to work. Robots will do it all. I had this argument with Bronx. Was it Bronx Blogger? Is that his name? The machines are going to do all the work. That's what's going to happen, and then we're all going to just get the benefits of that. Everything will just be free at that point. That's their utopia. But then you ask them, well, who's going to fix the machines when they break? Well, don't worry, other machines will do that. Yeah, but eventually you're going to get to a point where somebody has to work on the machines. Who's going to do it if nobody wants to? Well, then you have to force them. And we've come a long way, and you could probably get away with automated farming. I mean, a lot of it's automated compared to what it used to be anyway. That's why we're so prosperous. But dealing with crisis and stuff, that's just not going to be something we can do. You know, the automated farm, something goes wrong or some entity decides to get involved and we're all fucked. Former Senator Byrd, who found love in his heart for black people. Yeah. Don't worry, Senator Byrd only joined the Klan because of their anti-communist stake. I still can't believe he got away with that bullshit. I can't believe he got away with that. The Democrat joined the Klan because he didn't like commies. And in fairness, at the time, there was a much more pronounced anti-communist sentiment in the country. But the notion that you would join the Klan to fight the commies is just fucking retarded. Like, what was he doing? Standing at a crossburn and going, okay, can we talk about economic policy now? Fuck. And he kept getting reelected to the Senate. Oh, man. Getting paid for doing nothing is crazy. Yep, people may as well be, what does that say? Potatoes. Oh, okay. Look, I'm a lazy guy. I'd love to get paid for nothing. I'd love to win the $1 billion lotto that just happened. Did anybody win that, by the way? Was it 1.3 billion in the Powerball? That'd be great. But here's what's going to happen if we get to this. I asked Bronx Blogger about this at the time. Like, well, okay, what are people going to do? And you know what we're all going to do? We're all going to stand around and paint. That's the communist utopia. Machines take care of us so we can all stand around and fucking paint. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would love to go back to work. I miss working. I miss working and being around people and having a reason. You know what I mean? You have people, I hate my job, and I get it. I do. But I didn't realize it. Okay, so I worked at the shop, right? For those who don't know, I worked at a machine shop for 6 years. And I left there when I got hurt. So I moved some metal bars. These are 16-foot long, half-inch round metal bars, and I was moving them from where they were so that we could put a new bundle in there. And those were going away for a little bit because the job that was on that machine was changing. And I lifted them up over my head, and they just wiggled a little bit, and I steadied them. I just tried to steady them with my hand. I felt a pinch in my neck. And for the next 2.5 years, I did nothing. And I got so goddamn bored. So bored. I had lingering issues with my left arm, and it made doing stuff harder to do, not like today, because that little did I know that pain was nothing. Fuck that. But I realized that all of those people who talk about needing to work, that I was one of those, even though I'm the laziest motherfucker I know. What is a bundle of bars? A bundle of it's just what it sounds like, a bundle of metal bars. They don't have any fancy words for it in Britain, as far as I know. In my current state, the last 10 years of my life, it's been a little bit better because I have this. I have something that I'm doing, something that I'm contributing, and it gives me a sense of not accomplishment necessarily, but a sense of needing, of being needed for something. I'm one of those people who always I thrive on chaos. As my wife, when chaotic shit happens, I become focused. And especially working in retail, that worked out well for me, because my best days at work were like Blitz. We're not allowed to call it that, right? Black Friday. Because everything is chaotic, and I have to keep everybody, especially when I was running the front end for Blitz. Oh God, I was in my zone, bro. I was there. I thrive on that shit, and I don't have that now, and it's actually making me a little stir crazy. Dangerous, thank you. I love when people call Trump supporters a cult, then cut off family members. My dad and I have full on screamed at each other over Trump. We then apologize and go back to acting like adults. And that's how you should do it. I mean, maybe not screaming at each other, but I get you. I understand. I don't talk about politics with my youngest son because I become very passionate when I'm talking about stuff. And he might as well get his information from Hassan. It's amazing the number of times I've had to correct him because he says, Trump did this. And I'm like, that's not actually what he did. And, so I don't talk politics with him because I get heated and everybody takes that as me being angry, and I'm not angry. Like I mentioned earlier, my debate with Vegan Gains. At one point with my debate with Vegan Gains, my wife actually came over to me and like, calm down. I was like, I'm not upset. I wasn't upset at all. So I enjoy that shit. I like confrontation. Apparently, most people don't. Sorry for your loss. No, there's no loss. I mean, me and him still have a great relationship. Otherwise, we just don't talk politics. Or if he talks politics, I just don't respond. Like, it's not worth it. I'm always correcting people about Trump. So annoyed to have to do. Yeah, and so much of it comes from the mainstream media, right? I mean, they're still pushing the both or find people on both sides nonsense, which has been debunked literally since the first day it was said. Passionate, and I lean that way. I enjoy passionate debate. I enjoy loud voices and heated argument, but I never take it personal. I don't take that shit personally. Other people do, apparently. Normal people apparently don't thrive on conflict where I do. When my family starts talking politics, I just go, hey, look, potatoes. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. My wife, for some reason, constantly will bring up politics at the dinner table. I'm just like, well, I guess I'm done talking because I ain't discussing this shit. It's my own failing not to be able to do it, calmly. But when people say stupid shit, I can't help but be like, you're wrong. You're just fucking wrong. I don't understand you guys who are like Matt Christensen, right? We were talking about Matt earlier. Matt is like the most calm dude ever. He's just so even keeled. And I really am jealous of that. I would probably get a lot farther in life if I could do that, but I can't. Because if you say something stupid to me, unless you're my boss and I have to be diplomatic, I'm probably going to tell you said something stupid. We all get a little personal in heated moments, but it helps to be quick to forget. I don't get personal okay. Let me back that up. I have an excellent example. Go watch my debate with Hunter Avalon. I could have got very personal there. I didn't get personal at all. I got a little heated when he was wrong about shit, but I didn't attack him for being a little cuck shit. Matt does get annoyed occasionally, usually when people try to dictate how he should run his show or be a parent. I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't got to see Matt in a long time. I can see him getting annoyed at those, but I still imagine he's mad about it. He's just mad. Always. I listen to a lot of family members, but it's the sweetness things. They come back and say, you're right. I wish my family would come back and say you were right when I'm right, but nobody wants to tell me that. One word people don't like is do your research. They don't like being told to do real. I know what you're saying, but they don't like when they're research, because a lot of people research. Is it on Rumble? Is what on Rumble? It should be on Rumble. Is it not playing over there? I mean, people are commenting, so I'm guessing it is. Excuse me. People don't like when you point out that their research is flawed. Because a lot of these people, they'll see a news story or a news article headline, because most of them don't read the full story. And so that becomes their research. I did look that up. They said it on CNN. It's like, yeah, but here's what else they said, or here's what they left out. They hate that part of it. Being his producer and a fan for years, I watch every stream, so I've seen it over the years. I'll take your word for it, Dangerous. I just can't imagine Matt, even him getting annoyed. I just picture him just being Matt. just saying. It's a good thing. It's a good thing not to get so irritated. I feel bad when I get irritated with you guys, which I don't do very often, but occasionally people piss me off and I get short with a commenter or something. And like earlier when I mentioned you seemed upset by this, that wasn't me doing it. But one guy just told him one night, I'm not in the mood for your racist shit. And I probably shouldn't. I should have just ignored what they were saying. But occasionally I'll see stuff and I can't. It's not in me to do so. I was watching an episode of House tonight, and I had one of those moments where I realized why my friend used to, before I ever watched House, would tell me, you need to watch House. He's just like you. And there's a moment where Cameron is talking to House and she's quitting. House is supposed to give a speech for this guy who became the CEO of the hospital. And in true House fashion, he gave the finger to the man, basically. And Cameron says to him that she thought he did things to help people, but that's not why he does it. He does it because it's right. And I'm like, yes. Do you know how easy it would be for me to just go along with a lot of the shit I talk about? To just be like, yes, everybody that's not a Republican sucks. You know how much better that would be for my YouTube career? Sorry. If I think something is wrong, I can't not say so. One of the first things I did that got me, I don't want to say blacklisted, but uh, some very upset fans was when Sargon reported, fuck, what was her name? Chrisiosity. He reported Chrisiosity to Twitter and got her banned from Twitter because she said she was going to harass him every day. And I pointed out that Sargon, who at the time was supposedly a free speech advocate and who believed people should be able to say what they want to, and that we shouldn't be canceling people, got somebody canceled on there. That he was not living up to his free speech beliefs. And people are, oh, but she doesn't believe in that. Like, no, but he claims to. And that rubbed me the wrong way. Morality or stated morality. And it really is a kind of Robespierre moment. Like, I don't believe in beheadings. Quick, off with their heads. And the reason I did it, and I knew at the time that it was going to cause issues, but I could not do it because what he did was wrong. Shit, that rubs me the wrong way too. Yeah, I mean, I can't take people who are hypocrites for their own cause. You know, when they rail against something over and over and over again, and when they get the chance to do that very thing, they take the opportunity. Oh, I still want to argue against this. I'm just going to shut up. Argued enough this stream. No, by all means, please, please. As Asmund says, meet them down there. I disagree with that philosophy. I do not let other people dictate my actions. That is a road to, again, Robespierre. I think more people need to study the French Revolution because it's amazing how many people on the right now are acting like the French revolutionaries. Why won't Trump decry white supremacists? There's a bunch of times he's done it, but that was in the past. Yeah, because that's how the flow of time works. Yeah, that is one of the most absurd moments in media history. And again, it came from Fox. That's the part that been hearing that one a lot lately. What, Robespierre? I've been using him a lot lately because I'm seeing so much of parallels with the right in America. It's amazing to me. But anyway, that moment, Fox News, will President Trump denounce white supremacy today? And she had literally just given examples of where he had done it. And she goes, I just gave you 13 examples. But will he do it today? And if you watch the debate that led to that story, he denounced it immediately. Chris Wallace asked, will you denounce white supremacy? And he had a longer question, but right there, Trump says, yes. He answered it mid-sentence. He denounced white supremacy in that moment. And that led our press to go, will he denounce white supremacy today? He did it just last night. Will he do it again? Fucking losers. Principles aren't principles if you abandon them when they're inconvenient. True. Exactly. Exactly. It's a hard lesson to get people to learn, though. Because everybody like, they're cheating. We should be able to cheat. Well, do you hate cheating or do you hate them? Because those are two entirely different principles. You don't actually hate cheating. You hate that they're getting away with cheating. So you want to do it. Okay, then what makes you different from them? Willful intellectual dishonesty leads to moral decay. I would agree with that. I just don't think most people put enough thought into it. Instead, especially today, everybody's just worried about winning. Which I want to win. I want to win, and they're cheating. I want to win like they do. Yeah, I get it. I like to win too. But I'm of the opinion that You should win correctly. They're more like guidelines anyway. Fair. For a lot of people, they really are. A lot of people, um, they don't have principles. Their principle is I want to win, and that's it. And if they were at least honest about that, I could give it to them. But I criticize people based on their actions and my own morality. So it doesn't matter to me if you're left or right. I'm not on your fucking team. I'm with you when I think you're right, and I'm against you when I think you're wrong. Because it's my principles at stake. If I was just going to sell out my principles to the Democrats or the Republicans, fuck, what do you even need me for? What does it say? I want consequences for bad actions. I understand that. Me too. But I also think, I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen, like with why aren't they throwing people in jail? The excuse for it is, well, they did it to Trump. Like, yeah, but you complain when they did it to Trump. I voted for Trump because of the lawfare used against him. And I can't in good conscience just be like, yes, now use lawfare against the Democrats because they did it to Trump. If there's an actual thing, sure. But a lot of it is innuendo. A lot of it is we think this happened. And just throwing people in jail because they're shitbag on the other side doesn't mean you should be a shitbag on your side. Call them out, publicly shame them. I have no problem with that shit. But when you start bringing the lawyers into it, how are you different than them? Well, they broke the law. Well, I mean, technically, so did Trump. You don't have to like that, but Trump having that stuff at his house in Mar-a-Lago was against the law. Is it a stupid law? Absolutely. Was it taken too far? Yep. Was he guilty? Absolutely. I don't know what to tell y'all. That's the reality of it. When treason prospers, none dare call it treason. It's one of my favorite quotes that I learned from watching JFK because Garrison says that in his closing statement. Treason. I'm sure it's from something. I'm not sure. Like sounds Shakespearean, but treason doth not prosper. Why? Because if it does, you don't call it treason. Like if you were living in Cuba right after the revolution, you don't call Castro treasonous because you're gonna die. That was Julius Caesar. That makes sense. Anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap up here. I enjoyed talking with you. I hope you guys enjoy it too. But I'm running out of turn on my Steam and play a video game till I'm tired enough to fall asleep. After Trump leaves this, do you think the Dems will leave him alone or go after him legally? They'll leave him alone. There's no reason to go after him after he leaves office. The only reason they went after him in 2020 was because they knew he was planning on running again. They were trying to keep him from being able to run. I mean, they stated that as their goal in the second impeachment was that they were going to impeach him because an impeached president can't run for president again. Well, yeah, he can. He has to be found guilty for any of that to kick in. And when the impeachment failed, then they started with the other lawfare. And the only reason they did it was because he ran again. Because typically you don't go after an opponent who's not running anymore. There's no media in it. There's no reason to. And I know that's a cynical way to look at things, but that's how politicians look at it. You know why Trump didn't go after Hillary? There was no reason to. There was no win in that for him. Did she break the law? 100%. Would throwing her in jail help him politically? Not at all. Only his diehards who were going to vote for him anyway would do that. And everybody else would look at it as political retribution. There was no win in that. So you just let that little bitch go away. Hope you get some sleep. Oh, I will eventually. I was probably too braggadocious this morning when I was like, the pain is mostly gone because it came back with a vengeance. And in fairness, we've been cleaning out my garage. We're getting rid of just a ton of shit. Ton of shit that's been in my garage for literally decades that nobody ever touches. And we're like, well, let's just get rid of this shit. And so each week we take a load of stuff and get rid of it. And we always do it on Thursdays because pickup is on Friday. And I went and did some of that today. And I've learned two things. One, I keep a lot of shit that I should never keep in the first place. And two, I need to do some kind of exercise. I went to pull the air conditioner out of the window this week because it's like 50 fucking degrees right now. Fucking Michigan. And I was the one who put it in. I couldn't lift it. I had to have my son do it. So I need to do some upper body workouts, which are gonna hurt like fuck. But it's still something I need to do. Yard sale time? No. The reason not yard sale is because this stuff has been in there so long. Even the good stuff is just got years of gunk on it. Rodents like to live in my garage, and they've gotten into all kinds of shit. And so, yeah, we're just tossing it all. Anyway, it's not information you guys need. You don't need to know this that I just told you. Find a Bowflex on the Facebook Marketplace. I think I want to get a weight machine, not free weights, because I would hurt myself with those. But Bowflexes, I'm not a fan of those. I don't trust them. You know what I mean? But like a pulley system one that has like the butterfly on it and the legs and all of that you can do. I want to get one of those and start doing upper body workouts because I'm 50. I should be able to pick up an air conditioner. There's no good reason I can't, other than I've just gotten that out of shape. And it's really distressing to me that even though I've been more active, my upper body has gotten much weaker. So my legs are doing a little better, but my upper body needs a lot of work. I don't need to be able to pick up like 200 pounds. I don't need to be like benching 3 bills, but I should be able to lift up a fucking air conditioner, especially one that's starting out where the window is. It's chest or stomach height. All I had to do was lift it like half an inch to clear the fucking window, and I couldn't do it. I assume you mean a window AC. Yes. And in fairness to me, that seems self-serving. In fairness to me, it is a big one. It's not small. It's not like a little 5,000 BTU one. It's a 12,000 BTU air conditioner. But I put the fucker in just a few months ago, and I couldn't lift it. That was a sobering reality. Nobody be sad about or for me on this part. I mean, I'm not at all. You are just getting old. I am getting old, but it doesn't weigh that much. And yeah, that was distressing to me. I couldn't lift it. Like, fuck. And then my son grabs it like it's nothing. Like, I remember those days. I remember to be able to just lift something. I was strong, you guys. I was strong. And now I'm not. That's been the hardest part to deal with all of this. Are you sure it wasn't stuck? My son had no issue with it. The hardest part to deal with this is I was a strong guy. My wife loved my arms, that they were big. My wife has a thing for arms, and she loved them. And now they look like noodles that went bad. They don't even look like noodles. They look like noodles that went bad. So I just got to get like I'm doing with the rest of my body. Because again, my legs are stronger. We went walking around stores the other day, and I had no pain from it. That hasn't happened in forever. So I can get stronger. I just need to make it an active part of what I'm doing. And I'll be fine. Monk was strong. Now he's a manlet. Basically, yes. Yes. Yeah. Once I thought I was out of shape pushing a car until I discovered the emergency brake was slightly on. Oh, that had to suck. Just take it slow. Yeah, trust me. My body will make sure I do. This is true. I was making dinner the other night and we had tacos. So I'm just browning the meat and using the spatula to move everything around. My arm got tired. I'm starting to wonder if I have arm cancer because the change has been so sudden. In fairness to me, I had been carrying around my granddaughter, so I pulled the muscles in my arms, but I shouldn't be pulling the muscles in my arms carrying around my granddaughter. But yeah, I'm not telling you guys any of this for sympathy. If nothing else, I'm a lifestyle blogger. I'm actually looking forward to getting stronger, and I don't need to be as strong as I used to be. I'd like to be, but I'm 50, so that's not going to happen. This is true. As I was moving stuff out of the garage today, I sat down to take a break, and I started thinking about all those times I've seen people. I'm 50 years old, and this is the strongest I've ever been. And when I see those, it makes me so sad for them. The strongest I've ever been, it was probably when I was 16 to 18, and I was still strong for the rest of my life. But that was when I was active all the time, and yeah, I was fucking strong. And into my 30s, still strong, but the strongest I was probably 16 to 18. And these people are like, I'm 50 and it's the strongest I've ever been. And I'm like, wait, you were a weakling in your prime at 18? What the fuck is wrong with you? Start with some of those rubber stretch bands they use for rehab. I do have some of those, and I'll probably incorporate those. I also have very light weights that I will be using. And just old-fashioned calisthenics as well. Just some push-ups, man. That would help me so much. I wonder if I could even push up off the ground. Get down there and be stuck like Phoebe. If you want sympathy, it's in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. That is true. I never tell you guys this for sympathy. I find most of it funny. I really do. I find everything funny. I'm not a normal person. But I find it hilarious that my body is like this because I've let it get this way. It's my doing. It's not like somebody came along and went, you have to get weak, fucker. And I was like, okay. Well, I'm on the ground now. You been drinking or you just laying down there? Do something even if it's wrong, monkey. That's my motto. Except for it's especially if it's wrong. No, I just need to make a point. I told you guys months ago that I needed to walk more and get stronger with walking, and I've done it. Now I need to get my upper body in some better shape. It would be different if I was like 60 or 65, but I still got 10 good years before that. And frankly, even that's not an excuse. I mean, RFK Jr. was up there today, and if you've ever seen him without his shirt on, he's weirdly muscular for his age. So you can get that strong at my age, but I just want to be able to do normal stuff again. I want to be able to hold my granddaughter without my arms without pulling my biceps. And I'll get there. I have no doubt that I'll get there. It's just going to suck on the way. HGH, yeah, human growth hormone would probably help me. You know, I saw a Crowder a long time ago. I think it was Crowder. And they were talking about people taking like performance enhancing drugs and shit, right? Like if you know the dangers of steroids and you want to take them, should you be allowed to take them? Now, you not in professional sports, you know, where they have rules and stuff, but just in your general day-to-day life. If you want to be like Joe Rogan and your head keep growing till you look like Danny DeVito, shouldn't you be allowed to do that? You're not hurting anyone else. And there are some good reasons to do it. Like for me, I need to get stronger. You know, a way I could get really strong really quick? Steroids. It wouldn't take that much. A lot of people who do steroids, when they stop doing them, they immediately deflate. But it's because they also stop doing the workouts and stuff that they were doing. You build muscle very fast on steroids. How do I know this? It's happened to me. When I was 13, they put me on steroids for my asthma. And they told me, do not do any exercise. And my gym teacher was like, fuck your doctor. and I bulked up quick, real quick. Yeah, walking sucks, but I have more. I'm guessing I was motion in my legs than Wolverine. That's awesome. I have legs like Wolverine. I have really short legs, but I've always had very powerful legs. So that was one that really bothered me when my legs were worse. Like I've always had really strong legs. I used to be strong. I should have been an athlete. I really should have been, but I was too lazy for team sports. Like, you got to go run. Like, fuck this. I don't want to play anymore. I don't like to run just to run. You're not running just to run. You're running to train. Like, I don't like that either. I like running for fun if I'm playing a game. I like running for my life if something's chasing me. But otherwise, fuck that shit. I don't like to run just to run. That's nonsensical to me. Speaking of which, I'm looking to get a blender to make smoothies. Any audience suggestions for brand? Anybody? I don't know blender brands, honestly. Satsu would be the one to ask on that. My guess would be he would tell you a Ninja, though. Honestly, don't know. I haven't talked to him about that kind of stuff in a long time. You could be my wife. My wife. I love my wife so much. We had to get a new toaster not that long ago, and my wife bought the absolute cheapest one she could find because apparently spending $20 on a outrageous. I'm sorry. I was talking about my wife's toaster. She bought an $11 toaster and the bread doesn't even fit all the way in it. And it has become my go-to joke when she goes to buy something, like just not like the toaster, sweetie. Because she wanted to save like $9. She bought this toaster that won't even toast the whole bread. If you want the whole bread toasted, you got to flip it over halfway through. Like, woman, you could have spent another $10 on a toaster. We'd have been okay. I think we would have made it. I think we could have cut back somewhere else for a week. We'd have been all right. But she was trying to save money. Like, she makes me laugh so hard. Anyway, guys, as I said, I am going to wrap this up. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I love you guys. I really do. I really like when we get to just talk. It's a lot of fun for me. And just riffing is my forte. I'm good at it, I think. I don't think anybody left, so I'm not that bad at it. Can you tell I'm tired? I'm giggling at everything I say. I normally laugh at myself this much? You guys ever do that where somebody will say something to you and about yourself and it's something you didn't realize you do? Like the other day, me and my wife were talking. She pointed out something I do, and she's like, I don't think you even realize it. I'm like, no, I do that on purpose. But there's tons of times, like when we were dating in high school, and she looks at me and she goes, "You have really short legs." That is something I never knew about myself until my eventual bride pointed it out to me in just old fashioned. She's like, "You got little legs, man." Keldrick, thank you. Somebody on Twitter is trying very desperately to convince me that abortion does not kill innocent children, but not vaccinating is the same as murder. People are retarded. Excuse me. So sorry about that. And now you know forever. Yeah, you can't unlearn that you have short legs. I was in my 20s when I learned that my ear holes go up instead of down. Most of yours probably do. My doctor said it to me. No doctor. I've been sick my whole life. I'm a sickly child. I was at the doctor all the fucking time. I've had more of those little things stuck in my ear than I care to mention. Not one of the doctors in my first 22 years of life thought to tell me that my ear holes go the wrong way. My big head, if I'm being honest. If my head was normal size, it'd be down. But Faithless says mine go up too. Yeah, it's something like 10 or 20% of the population. It's not like super rare, but it's not super common either. It is rare. Uh, but it gives me a when you guys go swimming and you go underwater, you get water in your ear. I don't. You ever hold a cup upside down in the water and push it down and no water gets in? It's what happens when your ear holes go up. Um, Mine go up, but they never said it was wrong. Yeah, it's not the normal condition, Faithless. We're weird that way. We're weird. We're medical anomalies. That's what I like to call myself. I tend to notice most of my patterns, though. That's what I was actually getting at. When it comes to speaking patterns or things like that, I do notice it, but every once in a while, I'll catch something that I've started doing, and that why am I doing that shit? And it drains real fast when they do get full. True, yeah. In order to get water in my ears, I have to go upside down underwater, or get hit in the side of the head with a wave. That'll shoot water right up your ear hole. Um, should have been a free diver. I don't like diving like that. Like I have no interest in being that far. I love being in water and I love being underwater, but I like to be able to get to the surface really quick. At least you don't have two you assholes. Yes, two buttholes is a. I wonder how many people that affects. Do you guys ever see that where there'd be like this rare disease affects 1 in every 2,000 people, and you're like that should be a lot of people. Why aren't there more of them? Why aren't there more? Monkey keywords. He's lazy. I do not. How dare you, sir? Mine go in like a normal person. What, your ear holes? They actually should go down slightly like a normal person. But yeah, it's amazing. I see things like two butthole person, and like, yes, this affects 1 in every 100,000 people. Okay, that's 10 for every million. 330 million. There should be like 3,000 or two butthole people. You think you'd hear more about it, right? But anyway, um, I really am wrapping up this time. Guys, take care of yourselves. I love you, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye now. Oh, wait, did I thank you guys? Thank you for the donations and for watching. You guys are awesome. And I really do love you for it. It's been a long time since we did an after party, but I had to get that Lauren Chen stuff out because look, Lauren, love you, sweetie, but you got to answer some questions. There's plenty of valid questions out there, and until you start answering, I'm gonna look at you side-eyed. Just saying. Anyway, guys, take care. See you next time. It's not a monkey in the morning, so I shouldn't have to. God damn it.